Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Got a great broadcast lineup for you this morning, as I hope and I pray that we always do. I'm not important, I'm just a question asker. My name is Raheem Ajme, but we got two of my brothers here, man. And we're going to kick this thing off early this morning. We're going to kick it off early this morning. Going to start off with Badger. Badger, good morning. Tell everybody who you are and where you're hailing from, sir.
Badger from Northeast Texas.
Northeast Texas. Now, Texas, where the education system has its footing on what is they say what starts off in Texas, what they tested and tested, and whatever they do in Texas, gonna make itself across the United States of America. Is that true, Badger?
I hope not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see teachers in every single public school in the USA having guns on them.
Mm-hmm. That's where they're heading, brother. That's where they're heading. As sad and unfortunate as it is, that's the direction that it's heading in, man. And they think that's gonna be safer. They think it's gonna make it safer for everybody. I don't know if I agree with that or not, but that's definitely the direction that it's going in. We also have with us this morning Ibrahim. Ibrahim, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Oh, doing well. Praise to Allah, and the Creator. We are here and ready to speak our truth.
Yes,
You
sir.
know.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's talk about what Badger just said. Badger, so do they already have the guns in the classroom there in Texas? Is that something they've already moved forward?
Um, I know two of the one of the small cities around me is, and then um the closest town does.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly they're gonna receive special training.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, whatever that means.
Mm-hmm.
In essence, the way I view it is really messed up because it gives the perception of, hey, if teachers are having to police and protect themselves, then what's the point of having the police? And it's going to lead to issues, and it wouldn't surprise me if eventually, I really hope not, but martial law becomes a thing.
Mm. Mm.
I feel.
It's
Go ahead.
it
Go
it,
ahead.
it, it it appears as though it's heading slightly in that direction, but again, like you said, I hope not. But go ahead.
It, I mean, if you look at the events of things, they're always gonna the people in power are gonna push buttons. And in Texas is full of gun nuts. So you can't
Mm-hmm.
really limit things. And
Mm-hmm.
they definitely don't want intelligent human beings. They'd rather
Mm-hmm.
have greedy, selfish words I can't say on the morning glow.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow.
Um, so to be a greedy, selfish human being, most of the time you're going to want a gun to protect it, and it leads to a whole bunch of other issues.
But see, my my question is, what does that have to do with education, greedy and all that stuff? What does that have to do with putting guns in the classroom?
When's the last time you heard of PEMDAS?
What now?
PEMDAS.
PennDOS. I don't even know what that is, brother.
PEMDAS, like the thing they stopped teaching to some degree and didn't
Hmm.
have to do like 50 steps to do their math.
Oh yeah. Okay. Hmm.
um, just look at the current school system. They've
Hmm.
taken so much stuff out, then they've put stuff in, and now they're limiting even how teachers can teach certain things. There's teachers leaving all over the country
Hmm.
that are like, we're done.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, that part make perfect sense to me. But I'm just trying to tie
Okay,
having the guns into what we're talking about right now.
YouTube
Because I don't see where there's
Twitch.
I don't see where there's a need to have a gun in a classroom at all. Period. I don't see where there's a
Oh,
need. Yeah.
I don't. Oh, okay, I get what you're going with that.
Hmm.
Well, essentially, you got to protect your property, don't you?
Yeah, but protecting my property, what does that have to do with having a gun in a classroom where you're teaching the children? That's my point. I
At
understand. Go
what
ahead.
I'm getting at
Mm-hmm.
is, some people's perception is they're not kids, they're property.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I get that. And when you kept saying, I understand that part of what you're saying. The property, the children being our property and stuff like that. Some people feel as though a person is property. People think that way. I don't understand that, but they do. But my thing,
Politicians.
yeah, exactly. But my thing is this right here. And I'm going to go to Ibrahim as well. But my thing is this right here. Why would you have a gun? The very thing that you're trying to protect the children from. Why would you allow somebody to bring that in the classroom? It doesn't line up with me because you're saying that they don't want these people to
So,
come into. Hold on, you're saying they don't want these people to come into the class, into the schools with these guns and blah 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 because they're going to be mass disruption and all this different thing that they're doing because they're bringing the guns into the schools. So your solution to that is I'm going to let the teachers bring their guns into the school, and that's going to protect us from the other people their guns into the school. Both issues, you still have guns in the school. So how does that make sense?
well, from my understanding, I mean, Florida started implementing some stuff too
Mm-hmm.
of letting military people be subs
Wow.
and teachers and things because to them they're qualified to be that, even though they didn't go to college or anything. So, I mean, if it's a military trained person, that's kind of understandable.
Not to me. Not
However,
not to
hold on.
me. Mm-hmm.
Now, the you Udall, oh my God, that name. That Texas shooting, Uvalde.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. You,
Um,
you you butchered it a little bit, but I know what you're talking about. Go ahead.
yeah, syllables, man.
Mm-hmm.
Since the cops failed to stop it
Mm-hmm.
in a decent amount of time, that's what led to this.
Okay. But listen to what you just said, though. Listen to what you just said. You said because the cops failed to do what they're supposed to do in a decent amount of time. We talk about the trained every day to carry these weapons and to do these different things. We talk about people that's quote unquote supposed to be trained for situations like this. You're saying that they failed to do what they're supposed to do. So you're going to count on the fact that a teacher that's not trained and they're going to probably get 4 hours of training to handle these situations. You wanna hang your hat on the fact that they're going to be qualified to do what the people that's actually trained every day to do this couldn't do or didn't do. Man,
I,
that doesn't it is for me in my mind. My mind is a little bit different. For me, in my mind, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make. Let me go to Ibrahim. I bet you go. Man, you'll
man.
go back and forth. Hold on for a second.
Oh yeah, dude. It's
Hold on, Badger. Ibrahim, what do you say about this, man? And maybe y'all help me, man. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong before. I might be wrong again before I pass on. But Ibrahim, it just doesn't make sense to me. Does it make sense to you? What do you think? And Mr. Hicks, I'm coming
Oh
to you
yeah,
next.
it makes sense to me.
To have guns in the classroom?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Wow. Well,
it
how
makes
how
sense to me.
explain it to me.
This is a when you have like bringing a knife to a gunfight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where this society we have and the training. To me, the training is appropriate to being trained in what people people use guns. And when I say this, and we forget the most the factor of a gun, right? That if people are not mentally stable enough to have a gun, that could be just because a person's been in the military or been a police officer. We've seen these people drop the ball many times and don't use a gun
And and,
correctly,
and,
right?
and, and so
We see other people in
what's
the
to stop the
restroom,
teacher? What's to
but
stop teachers from being in the same situation? What's to stop them from being in the
it
same
don't never
situation?
stop. It don't never stop the teachers, right? But the teachers, the education is a function of the state. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're property of the state. They own the property of the state or the federal government, right?
Mm.
So they should be defended by the people that is teaching them or intellectually teaching them whatever form of fashion they teach to be taught in. All teachers are not qualified to have a gun, and all teachers don't want to have a gun. But those that want to have and can be taught because they're to be taught multiple times about incursions like that coming to their classroom. And you're gonna teach somebody, give them methods ways to defend themselves. They don't want to use that gun. That's the thing. If you don't want your kid to go to school where the teacher got a gun, then they shouldn't go to school. You know, we rely on the state to educate our kids, to give them a certain amount of education, to make them subjects of the state. Then we have to go along with the program, or we can fight against it and try to change that. But that goes along the whole program through the whole system. You know
but
what
see,
I mean?
I understand what you're saying.
Just ignore one part of it.
But my thing is, brother, I'm just trying to wrap my mind around, and you said it makes sense to you. So I don't give anybody their opinion. That's your opinion, and I respect the way you feel. I don't agree with that. I don't hold on, brother. I don't understand. You know, this whole idea of giving a teacher a gun to protect you saying that you protect, and like let me go back to, like I said earlier. Maybe I misquoted. There is a classroom. You in this classroom, you have a person that's gonna come into the school with a gun. You want to stop this person from coming into the school with the gun because they're going to come in there and cause disruption. So my solution to that is I'm going to give an untrained teacher a teacher a gun. Now, teacher, you have to stop this person with this gun from coming in here. We're gonna give you the responsibility on top of all the other stuff that you have to do. On top of being a teacher, a counselor, or whatever. Teachers have so many jobs, so many hats on their head, and on top of being all of that, now you have to be the protector. Now you got to be the police. So we're gonna give you a gun. We're going to give you a gun to protect these people. I don't see where that makes sense. Now, like Badger said earlier, the police officers in Texas, they are trained every day with these guns. They walk around with these guns on their side every day. They're trained every day to handle situations like this. A teacher is not. And so the police officers fail to do their duties. And so you think that a teacher, a person that went to school for education, you think that this teacher is going to be equipped to handle that situation with the gun? What's going to stop him or her from panicking? What's going to stop him or her from going post out with that gun? You don't know the mentality or the mindset of that particular person that you're giving a gun to. How do you gauge that? How do you say, okay, you're qualified to carry this gun? Oh, hold on. You're not qualified to carry. How do you gauge that? You could be giving a gun. You could be putting a gun in the hand of a killer.
You asking me a question?
Yes. Give me your comment. Tell me what you think.
My comment saying, you know, the profile, the way you're making your argument is that I'm going to give somebody a gun and not train them. You know what I mean? Now, you know, the training of police, there's good training, there's poor training. Obviously, we've had poor training with police officers in the last couple of decades. We see evidence of this every day.
Okay.
Now, there's good training.
Okay.
There's people can be trained
how do you?
And people have to train a mental attitude. They have more. Excuse me. They have more skin in the game than a police officer on a beat. They have more skin in the game. They got charges that obviously, hopefully they're there to that they have some type of emotional or something of love to educate children. You know, so they got more skin. They're in the classroom with these kids. They want to protect them. They want to give them protection in their education. They want to have them learn and grow or whatever. But in saying this, they have more skin in the game than a police officer on the street. Yeah,
would it make more sense?
I believe with the training, and the support, that could be a level of defense. You see what I'm saying?
Let me say this, Ibrahim. Let me say this, brother. With the amount of money and time and effort it's going to take for all this training and purchasing all these guns and all this stuff, would it make more sense to put a couple of more resource officers, trained resource officers? Because you talking about there's good training and there's bad training. So these police, these teachers gonna be subjected to that good training and that bad training that you say that some police officers get. They're gonna be subjected to the same training. And so what's it? So my thing is, if you want to do something like that, take all that money that you're talking about putting in there. You got to buy the weapons. You got to train them. All that stuff take time and take money. Take that money. get you a couple of the resource officers to out for the outside perimeter of that school, to walk, to be around that school, to watch that school, to make sure who comes in and who comes out, and that way you can negate who's actually going into the building. Make it a little port or something like that. Make a little post or something. So if you want to go to the school, you have to come through this port right here in order to get in. You got to go through this to get inside the school system, and that will let you know who's going in and out of this out of the building and who have what. But to give a gun to a teacher, brother, that don't make, to me, that don't make sense. I got to move on, brother. Let me go to Mr. Hicks. Mr. Hicks, what's on your heart? And good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Good morning, Raheem and Glow family. I sort of agree with you on that line. You know, the interesting study is to go back and find out the evolution of the compulsory system, the education, what the purpose was, and why we got them there. My youngest son was born 10 years after my other son, who was a baby for 10 years, and so he was a sort of different cut. He got into a lot of problems in school because he was inquisitive. He asked questions. He didn't follow the line of study that the teachers want. He got in problems. I went to the school the last day, and I went to the school, and he was in detention. When I walked into the school, and I guess the question yesterday, are we sleep, or sometimes our parents are always sleep, or men are always sleep. I worked on the road. I came home in intervals, so I wasn't there as much as I need, just trying to survive those 80s and those crashes, just trying to find work where I could. When I went to the school, the officer greeted me at the door. He had to go out on his shoulder, on his side, and my son was sitting up on these elevated stairs with a whole bunch of other black boys. There wasn't a girl in there. I never seen a girl in there. And I looked at the situation, and I pulled him out of school. It took me to expensive private schools and homeschooling, but I knew that it was a pipeline straight to prison. My feeling is if the teachers get pistols or get weapons, they're gonna shoot the kids. They're afraid of them kids. They'll end up shooting the kids. They'll end up when they get panicky and be all in the news when a teacher shot these 2 kids in school because they were aggressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you on this line.
Good deal. We got a few more people on the phone, and I want to get to them as well. Let's go right now. Let's go to Kurt. Kurt, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
I'm all right, brother. How you?
Hey, doing good.
What's up, brothers? How y'all?
Hey, Kurt, talk to me, brother. What do you think about this thing? This whole idea, man, of teachers having guns in the classroom. What are your take on that, man? I know how I feel about it. What do you think?
No. I'm gonna lay that right out there. No. Most teachers wouldn't even pass the psychological exam to even be police. To be honest with you.
That's right.
To be honest, most teachers, in all reality, this is no blight towards the teachers, but most teachers have issues, man. Working with them kids is therapeutic. No, right, Raheem. Take the money. You know what? You want to transmogrify the American culture. Stop letting these soldiers come home and not having jobs. You want to transmogrify the American culture? You tell a soldier, look, you got student debt. You go over here and work as a resource officer at the school. We have to give all of your debt. Give these soldiers a job when they come home.
Yeah.
They've been carrying a gun for the last 4, 6, 8, 10, 15, 20 years. They fully understand already how to set up a perimeter. They fully understand already what it means to I hate to say attack, but what it means to secure a position. Get a soldier something to do when they come home. For those that don't know what they're going to do. Because there's more soldiers that's coming home from the United States military that honestly don't know what's next. Then there are soldiers coming home from the United States military that know, okay, when I get up out of here, I'm slotted to go and work at Northrop Grumman. Or I'm slotted to go and work for Lockheed Martin. Or I'm slotted to go and work for Raytheon. There's more soldiers out here that's coming home and not knowing in all reality what their next move is.
Yeah.
You want want to transmogrify the school system, you offer those soldiers the opportunity to go over there and be resource officers. You tell them, look, if you go over there and take this job, you don't have no student loan, we'll allow for you to go to school for free. We'll pay for you to get a 4-year degree for free. If you decide to go over here and do this, you can go to school for free. You can still utilize your GI Bill. You understand? That'll put some money in your pocket because that's going to give you a stipend every month. You know, offer up some things, not only the soldiers, you got a whole class of the working poor.
Yep.
Offer up some things to the working poor. Let the parents, you know what? You want to put guns in the school? I tell you what. Why not let the parents own some of that responsibility? Okay, you got over $50,000 in debt. I tell you what, you come over here, you work as a resource officer. We'll forgive your $50,000 in debt. We still gonna pay you, but the incentive is you're gonna get this debt relief. We're gonna send you to training, you know, and we're gonna get this debt relief. You let the trainers be those who come home from the military. The problem is right here, and let me tell you what the real problem is. It's a two-pronged problem. One, the whole idea of putting guns in the school is a giveaway to the gun manufacturer. That's a whole nother story and a whole nother day. It's all crap. It's all smoke and mirrors. All right, that's number one. Number two, the overall problem with it is that you're trying to put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound.
Wow.
Slow down and think about what you're doing.
And that's my whole point. That's my whole point, Kurt. You know, it's you know, we have to think about this thing because, you know, you could very well be putting the gun in the hand of other killers to protect the one that's supposed to be coming into the building. As it's crazy. We got a couple other calls. I know we got a call from the 252 area code 252 area code. I'm coming to you next, but right now I got a Rico. Good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Man, I'm just grateful to see another beautiful day, man. How y'all doing?
Hey, doing good. Likewise, brother. Likewise. Rico, tell me what's your take on this whole situation, man? Teachers having guns in the classroom. Rico, does that make sense? Is that logical? What is your take on it, brother? Talk to me.
Yeah, it's too many risks to that. You know, we've seen plenty of videos where children or teens have overpowered the teachers.
Yep.
Because every teacher ain't gonna be MMA trained to be tough. So imagine some of those teachers having a gun, but they got a very feminine side to them. They're a man, but you could tell they don't even know how to throw a rock. They're real soft. And some of them students be like, man, look at Mr. Such and Such, man, he look like he a free pick. They get disrupted, they want to go viral, they videotape it. He pull his little gun out and wave it, they take it and use it on him.
And everybody else.
Now we got another issue. So, you know, and then you put this on top of it. We're talking about putting guns in the hands of teachers that may even want to sleep with some of the students. Because these are the type of teachers that exist. All the cops ain't even qualified to have guns. So just imagine putting them in the hands of teachers. You know, I had an incident with a teacher when I was in high school. He pulled a gun on me. But he was from another high school. He was up to my old high school picking up his son. I found out after he called me all kind of N-words and pulled a gun and told me he was going to blow my head off. He taught at a majority black school. So my dad went up there to check in on him to see how he taught the students. He taught auto body. Them boys didn't know nothing about no auto body. They were in there wrestling, gambling, shooting dice. And you could tell that was his motive. That was his agenda to let them fail.
Wow.
To let them not learn nothing. But imagine if he would have had a gun in that classroom and something went sideways because he was actually teaching at the time he pulled a gun on me. Instead, he called me the N-word because he felt like it. You know, so I'm on the side of Curtis, man. You know, so I was glad he said that because I've been speaking that for a while. Now, the school doesn't have the funding that it needs. But at the same time, I guess if you actually came to your city government or maybe the state government, somebody maybe came up with some legislation for funding, you can come up with school security officers. And this would be the prime time. And 9 times out of 10, it's probably going to happen. Somebody's going to find a way to get these legislators a little money invested in a company, and they're going to do this, and they're going to become rich because there's a need for it. We could hate that we need guns in the school all day long, but now it's obvious that we need them. So that's my solution has been just what Curtis said. I wasn't thinking nothing about the soldiers because some of them soldiers might be happy to kill since they done been exposed.
Mm-hmm.
They might be ready to shoot something. They might need that adrenaline rush. They might be a little on edge.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would do, I would get the parents because the parents have more to lose. You know, you see, Uvalde, some of them parents was breaking up in that school anyway. They say, screw this, I'm breaking in here, get my child.
Mm-hmm.
See a child. The parent has more to lose than anybody. They got more chips in the game.
More skin in the game. Absolutely.
So if anything, you can probably train them and give them the opportunity. Probably even put 1 or 2 parents per classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be number one. That would be employment for the family. It would also have it to the point of where the parents will know what's going on at the school with their children, so the children can't come back and lie.
Mm-hmm.
They'll know all the information. They'll be right there in that same environment. They'll be able to protect them. And then the teachers could do what they love to do, and that's focus on teaching.
Exactly.
Because the teacher shouldn't have to focus on teaching and protecting and securing.
Absolutely.
The only thing that teacher should really have to do to be able to do her job at her best ability is to focus on educating those students.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got 2 parents up in there that's focused on making sure that their child is, number one, acting in order in class, respecting the teacher, not being bullied or bullying,
30 seconds,
preventing and making people safe, and then letting the teacher be able to say, you know what, I could teach comfortably, and I don't have to worry about outbursts, nor do I have to worry about anybody busting in this class. Now I could go in and I could do this in peace. The only thing gonna interrupt me is the bell.
Exactly. We got to call, and that's good. That's good. And that's why, man, I say what I say, man. Put a resource, get another resource officer, put him in a hut outside the school building. So
it's gonna take more than one, Raheem, because down in Florida they had school resource officers and they ran.
No. I'm saying, yeah, you're absolutely right. It will take more than one. But my point is to put in a hut outside or however many it is. And so you have to come in order to get into the school. You have to first go into that hut, and then they can maybe buzz you in to get into the building.
Check them in like prison. Check them in like prison.
You hate to put it in that way, but yeah. You hate to say it in that fashion, but that's reality. Hold on, I got a couple other calls. I got 252 area code. What's your name? Where you calling from? 252 area code.
That was Ibrahim. I was trying to.
No, Ibrahim. Hold on for a second, brother. I got some more callers. 252 area code. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good morning. How's everyone?
Doing well. How you doing?
I'm well. This is Dr. Cook.
This is Dr. Cook?
Yeah.
Hey, Dr. Cook. Good morning. I ain't even recognize the number. How you doing this morning?
I'm well. I can't complain.
Good. Dr. Cook, what do you think about this whole idea of giving our teachers guns in the classroom? What is your take on that?
Absolutely not. No. We don't need, as teachers, we don't need that in the classroom. We don't need that in the school.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is not level-headed. And most of the teachers are, but I just, with a lot of the things that's going on around the world in a lot of the schools, teachers don't need that. Our job is to basically go to that building to teach the students and be whatever the students need us to be educationally. But we do not need that in the schools. They need to basically come up with some type of solutions, and they can utilize the teachers to come up with some type of solutions to basically keep everybody safe along with administration. But we most definitely do not need the schools. Now, I will basically let you know that students like to talk, and we've had students to bring items to school, and they tell other students about it. And we found out about it, and basically we had to basically make a call and let the administration know what was in the classroom and what we believe was in the classroom, and you don't overreact to certain things like that as well. And the student was not aware of what we did, and so when we basically took the person's book back, gave it to the assistant principal. Then the student was called to the office. But you have to have somebody that's somewhat level-headed. Some people would overreact, But those are some things that we did because things are kind of getting out of hand. And a lot of students that do that, they want attention. I mean, a lot of students that do that do want attention. And it was a scary situation, but you cannot hear it for that, when that occurs, because some students have reasons for doing things like that, but people need to talk to their students to ensure that doesn't happen. But it did happen this past year. One of the classes that was in my grade level, it was handled. The student was suspended, but we don't need weapons in the school at all.
Exactly.
That situation can go wrong, completely wrong.
Absolutely. And it could go wrong real fast. Rosalind, good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing?
Hey, doing good. Good to have you, sis. We asking a question. What do you think? What do you think, or what is your take on there being guns in the class? Teachers having guns in the classroom.
I don't think it's a good idea. I just personally don't think. I agree with you. It's like my classroom is full of 3 and 4 year olds, which are babies. So I think that will pull their focus off of learning, and it'll basically keep them focused on what you're carrying on your side. But you have to have, and I think somebody said it earlier, it takes a special person to be a teacher.
Yes.
This is my first year teaching, and I promise you all day right here, I'm on edge. Like, I'm trying to make sure that every kid is where they're supposed to be. Because kids move around, 3 and 4 year olds move around quick. So you have to make sure they're here, make sure they're there. You have kids that need one-on-one. You have kids that are ready for different things. They can't be around different things. So having to carry a weapon and worry about somebody coming on campus, trying to harm us or the kids, and trying to protect all that is a lot. That is a lot. Because when 2 o'clock comes, I'm telling you, that's when I let out a big breath of air.
Exactly.
It's literally, being a teacher it's like 4 or 5 jobs at once. So adding that would be a lot. Now, I mean, some plan needs to be implemented, but that one, I don't think so. Like, over in Mississippi, we have the highest, we are leading in the world over China and Russia and all them. We are leading with having the largest amount of incarcerated individuals over the world. So they are making enough money to hire an officer or somebody over here to guard these schools. I don't care what nobody say.
Exactly.
Because we have too many individuals behind prison walls for somebody not to be making enough money.
Hey, Rosalind.
So they're making enough money to pool. Yes, sir.
Are you talking directly into the phone? Because it's a little staticky. Are you talking on the Bluetooth? If not, talk directly into the phone. I want to make sure everybody can hear exactly what you're saying. It's a little staticky. Are you talking directly into the phone?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, much better. Much better.
Yes. Okay. So Mississippi is like leading in the entire world of having the highest amount of incarcerated individuals. So that money can be pooled and hire resource officers or police officers in our schools over here. But some plan needs to be implemented. But having the teachers to worry, carry a gun, teach, worry about the kids, that's too much. That is too much.
Because and like it's been stated by everybody on here that's educators that's in that field, there weren't a lot of hats. There already weren't a lot of hats, and there's already a lot of my wife's an educator, so I know how she feel about this. My wife's been an educator for 25 years, and so she knows what it is inside the classroom. And now she's an administrator now, but at the same time, she knows she deals with the teachers every day, and to be involved in a situation. How do you do that? Now you have to, okay, this teacher got a gun. Now got all these students in this classroom. How we're gonna make sure the students are safe? How we're gonna make sure the teacher's right? How we're gonna? It's so much more added on to the plate. You already got a full meal on that plate. How you gonna add some more chicken or hamburger or ham or whatever you're gonna put? How you gonna add something else to that plate, man? The plate is already running over. You already got side rails on it, trying to keep the food on there. Ibrahim, go ahead, brother. I know how you feel about this, but go ahead.
Yeah, controlling the narrative the way you are, it seems almost impossible.
But Ibrahim. How? Hold on, brother. How are you saying I'm controlling the narrative, brother? I'm asking you what's on your heart and giving you an opportunity to say what exactly you want to say. I'm not controlling what you say, brother. Don't sit here and make it like I'm controlling the narrative. I'm not doing that. How am I doing that when I'm asking you what's on your heart? Don't do that, man. Don't do that. Don't do that, brother.
Well, but you know what? Do a replay and see how you posing the question.
It doesn't matter, brother. I'm actually, regardless of how I pose the question, I'm giving you an opportunity to say what you want to say. Because I ask you, is it cold outside? And if it's hot outside, you're not gonna say that it's cold outside. You're gonna say that it's hot outside, brother. What are you talking about? If I say it's cold outside and it's 110 degrees outside, are you gonna agree with me that it's cold outside, or you gonna say, nah, brother, it's hot outside? How am I, Ibrahim? I gotta go to somebody else, brother. Nah, brother. I appreciate it. Nah, man. We ain't gonna let you do that, brother. You see, no. How in the world am I controlling the narrative when I'm asking you what's on your heart, brother? If I say it's cold outside, if it's hot outside, brother, you're not gonna agree with that. You're not gonna agree with that. Come on, man. Don't do that, man. Don't do that. I'm not gonna allow you to do that on this broadcast.
You gotta let him finish though, Raheem.
No, I don't. I don't. I'm not gonna let him finish. Curtis, what's on your heart?
Hey, Raheem.
Look, right. So here's what my thought is, right? Check this out. We get bombs and bomb threats all around the globe, right? How often do you get a threat or a bomb actually on a base?
Mm-hmm.
Very rare, right?
Exactly.
So all you got to do is hire resource officers, and you set up a perimeter just like a military base, where, okay, you got to go through a checkpoint before you even get on campus.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some people might be mad, oh, Lord, it's taking too long to pick my kids up. Well, guess what? You need to get here earlier. Or, you know what? I don't care how long it's taking. This is for the safety and the betterment of our children and our staff. It's just that simple.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that simple. We have hit the age where schools need to be protected just like the courthouse, just like the Federal Bureau of Investigation building, just like the congressional buildings, just like any courthouses around town. Why do these people get more protection than our future? Just explain that to me.
Mm-hmm.
And now you want to hand a gun to a teacher. So what if you got a kid in the class who daddy murdered his mama with a pistol? What if you got a kid in the class who comes from an inner city ghetto where during the day his life is one thing, but at night his life turned into Beirut?
Mm-hmm.
Because, see, you know, growing up, I was one of them kids. I remember laying in my middle room and having a ghetto bird fly over my middle room with the doggone spotlight that would shine through. In Baltimore, some rooms on the top floor have what they call a skylight in the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing the light shine through my skylight in the ceiling, right? And then I remember hearing gunshots and all of that. So what about that kid that is actually going through PTSD and has this natural fear of guns? Now his teacher walk in there with a big old Glock 9mm on her hip,
Mm-hmm.
or on his hip. How traumatized is the kid going to be?
Mm-hmm.
See, we keep, Raheem, I swear to God, I don't know why we do this, but it is in my belief that we have become addicted to governing from crisis to crisis. We do nothing preemptively. We do nothing with logical thought. You know, even the whole idea with the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
Mm-hmm.
That is the biggest crock of foolishness, male machismo crap that I have ever heard in my life, because the bad guy might be faster with his. He might have a straighter aim than you. You know what I mean? So, like, stop trying to make very, I guess here's the thing. Stop trying to make very things that need to be decided strategically. We need to stop trying to make them easy decisions and spend the time and the resources to strategically plan these things out properly.
That's good. That's good. Absolutely.
If we can do that, bro, we good.
Absolutely. Badger, what's on your heart, brother?
You know, as we were talking about everything, I dug into it a little bit more and learned something new. There's been a Marshall program in Texas since 2013. Only 62 out of more than 1,200 school districts have actually used the program. So they implemented a different kind called the Guardian program. Now that's just in Texas. I haven't dug too deep into if other states are going to allow it or not. But it also shows that even though those programs are there and it's voluntary, the teachers, 90% of the teachers say no. They don't want no part of it. You know, they don't want to have to worry about getting trained and all that kind of stuff. That's what they have those police officers on the grounds for and all that. They're supposed to be trained to deal with active shooters and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I was listening to what Curtis was saying about, you know, treat it like a military base. And it's sad to say that in this society that we currently have, that might be the route to go. You know, people don't, the amount of people that don't care about another human being's life is messed up. You know, the more they dug into the Uvalde shooter, you know, it was a highly bullied child that snapped, lost it, which doesn't give it an excuse. Please don't. There is no excuse for it. But it also shows how much people treat others that are different as well, and how much people are in need of help that don't get it. And it's an unfortunate truth in our society. You know, we touched on men, specifically black men, and the mental there. We've touched on just mental health in general. There is a lot of issues within the mental side of our country. Just straight up, there is so many. That's why I brought up greed and stuff earlier. Greed is a driving factor. Almost every Republican I have ever talked to or listened to, their main concern is money.
Yeah.
If your main concern is money, there's a problem. At least in my opinion.
Exactly. Let me go to Dr. Cook. Dr. Cook, what's on your heart? Dr. Cook, you there? Rosalind?
Come back, please.
Oh, okay. Good deal. Toya with a T. Good morning. Good morning. How you doing this morning?
How you doing? How you doing?
Hey, doing good, sis. We're talking this morning about guns in the classroom, and is it a good idea or bad idea? Toya, how do you feel about teachers having guns in the classroom? What's your opinion on that?
I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it.
Okay.
Sorry,
Explain.
I've seen that group of officers that shoot unarmed people stand outside a room with somebody shooting live wire. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Make sure they're not a nut before you put them in there.
You say make sure that the teachers are not nuts before you give them the guns?
Make sure the teacher ain't a nut before you put them in a school.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a bunch of nuts walking around here with guns. You got some officers that's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
You got some military people that's nuts. They racist, they KKK, they supremacist, and they fight for our country, and they're in uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
So you doggone right. Listen, I'm not even mad at the Trumpers and Trumpettes about wanting their guns. Because if you got yours, I want mine too. We can act like a arm and joy around this guy. Somebody feel like a nut and somebody don't. But yes, sir, I am. Especially with these out of control kids. Yes. Why shouldn't I have a gun? Why you don't want me to have a gun? Because I'm in the classroom knowing that people going to shoot it up. Because what? Because I'm not going to know how to act, or your bad kid not going to know how to act. Oh, you don't want them to see the gun when they go home and play all kind of shooting games and watch all kind of crazy, mysterious stuff on television? Come on with the jokes.
See, I'm gonna stop your time for a second. See, my issue is this right here, Toy, and I don't agree with the guns being in the classroom or the teachers having guns in the classroom. I don't agree because like it was said earlier, there's gonna be certain training that they have to have, but we said that same training is lackadaisical, even for the police officers that's on the street every day. Every day they're on the street and they're trained to do this. Those police officers in Texas, they were trained. They're supposed to quote unquote trained for this particular situation so they can handle it. They didn't know what to do. They didn't even go in there and do anything. So are we to think that you could put a gun in the hand of a teacher and think that particular teacher that don't have the training, that's not doing this every day, that is a teacher, and we're to trust them to have that gun and think that they're going to make that difference? I don't think so. I don't think that,
I got a question. Weren't you in the military?
No.
Oh. Have you had any kind of training on how to defend yourself?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So if you get out somewhere in a gunfight, you're going to be trained for that? No. There is no organization that train you with bullets for you to know how to get caught in that situation and deal with it. There ain't none nowhere.
I can equate that a little. So I can equate that just a little bit, and I thank you for pausing for a second for me, Toya. I could equate that a little differently, because when we talk about training and fighting, I've been trained in martial arts, and I don't talk about training martial arts and different things of that nature, and I know that we have to go into certain different quones and stuff like that, and we have to fight MMA. I've never been an MMA or nothing like that, but they have to be prepared to go in there and fight somebody. Now, you talk about a person. You talk about a person with a gun. That's a totally different level. That's a totally different level. And so,
well,
go ahead.
I get you, right? But I don't care how much karate you know, you ain't gonna beat no bullet, like you said. But my point is, you can be in the military and be trained. You're not trained enough to get out of a war. The same with the police. It ain't about training. That's because they don't give a hoot. It has nothing to do with training. It has to do with who we are as people. But let's get 100. Is it the gun problem that we lackadaisical on training? No. So that's our problem. But I want to know, again, as a teacher, protecting and being a lover of people, and I can be a nut too. If you come up in here thinking you're going to hurt somebody, tell me why, knowing that we have mass shootings, that officers may or may not come help me, tell me why I shouldn't have a gun to defend myself or hopefully your children. Because of what? Because of what everybody else will do? No, we got to do what we got to do and stop making up excuses.
But
and if we need an instructor in that school every day, walking by, talking, walking, training, we need to get something done. I'm not going to be dying for nobody. I'm a manager. And even at work, you ain't supposed to, before they allowed us to have pistols in there. I'm going to have my piece on me because I'm not going to die for you clowns. Don't nobody do right.
But see,
so as a teacher, as a citizen, living in reality, we, whether it's the school board who don't care, whether it's the local municipalities that don't care, whatever we need to put in place to make it happen, we need to make it happen. But what I'm not for is knowing that we have a war with guns and sending somebody out there unarmed because of what?
See, my whole thing is this right here. My whole thing is, and we got a couple other people just call them. I'm gonna come to you in just 1 second. But my whole thing is this right here. You pay a teacher to teach. A teacher has so much on their plate. We got a couple of teachers, educators on here too. You pay a teacher to teach and to put a gun in their hands. You know, what's to say that the teacher's not? A lot of the police officers, just like you said in the beginning of what you said, a lot of the police officers are crazy. They should not have guns. So why am I to think that a teacher can't be just as crazy and should not have a gun? But yet and still, we're saying that we're going to put the guns in their hand because it's going to protect themselves and our students against the people that's coming in there that's crazy with guns. And so you're going to want one crazy person to deflect or protect you against another crazy person. Now you got two crazy people with guns. What's going to stop them from shooting at each other and shooting up everybody in the building in the process? I mean,
well, the same thing that you think is going to magically stop it without giving them a gun, that ain't got nothing to do with it.
No,
again,
I had a solution.
You can't see crazy right here. How you going to see crazy? How you going to know that this child who's 18 years old with $6,000 worth of artillery, you cannot look at him and assume and know that he's going to go shoot something up. Neither can you know the teacher. Well, I ain't gonna tell no lie. We know what officers is crazy and what people be crazy, and we give it to them anyway. That's just on a personal aspect. But you can't look at nobody and say anything about what they may do. But I'm gonna tell you when a scenario is gonna make you feel better. When you're at home and you hear about, well, somebody's at home, not you. You're not home, and you hear about somebody breaking into a classroom, getting ready to shoot it up. And the teacher that had a pistol is the one that shot him and killed him and saved them, that's when we're going to be okay with it. But from a bird's eye view, we cannot assume that because we're going to guard teachers that they're all crazy. If that's the case, we feel that way beforehand. Okay. So what we going to do? Are we going to have security in front of the schools?
That's what I said.
They was officers at school when I was there. They locked my black behind up and I didn't even steal anything. And they had me on video and let the white girl go who did steal it.
Okay, but hold on, Toya. Hold on. And you just said what my solution was earlier before you came on. That's exactly what I said. Get more resource officers outside the building. Have them in a situation whereas everybody that going to their school will have to go past the resource officers in a place where they have to push a button to open the door to let them in. Have resource officers instead, and that's a perfect solution because that's a heck of a conversation. That's a heck of a conversation to have to tell somebody that, man, your child was shot in the course of us protecting our students from blood. The teacher was trying to shoot the person, missed that person and hit your child, and unfortunately your child did not make it. That's a heck of a conversation to have with somebody. That's a heck of a conversation to have because these teachers, in the midst of what's going on, in the midst of the chaos of everything, they lose their focus or whatever. And they just get to shooting and they hit an innocent child, the very ones that they're trying to protect. And now you have to have the conversation with the child's mother and father or both and tell them that unfortunately, in the course of what we were doing, your child was hit and he or she did not make it. That's the conversation I'm trying to avoid. And so that's why I say put resource officers outside the building, have them in a situation. And I think it was Rico that said it's going to be like a prison system. Unfortunately, yes, because that's what we're going to do to protect these children. Anybody coming in and out certainly anybody coming in would have to be buzzed in by the resource officers to open up the doors. Otherwise, they can't get inside the building.
I don't think they can do that, but they do have those officers in New York. As a matter of fact, they were school safety, and they combined them all with NYPD. So that is something that they do in New York, and they also have metal detectors in New York. Like I said, they've had that since I was in high school. I'm 45. That was 1995.
Yeah,
they've had metal detectors since then.
Okay.
And we are, proclaimed as one of the states with the highest crime rate, even though we couldn't have guns up there. You get caught with a gun, you get 5 years.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm just saying there are options and there are ways we can handle this.
Yeah, and I don't think, and this is just me talking, I gotta move to somebody else for you, but my way of thinking right now, and let somebody say something that's gonna totally change my mind, and I'm open to it. I listen to what you have to say, but my thing is this right here. Having teachers with the guns in the classroom, I don't think that's the solution to this issue. I don't think it is. Toussaint, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Doing all right. Good morning.
Toussaint, how do you feel about teachers having guns in the classroom? This is way out Wednesday already, brother.
Yeah, that's way out right there. It's just me. I mean, see, laws are not for those that obey them. It's the ones that don't that you got to worry about. That's why things are put in place. Say again?
I said, you better say
it. Yeah, I mean, really. See, we don't have problems with people and children and teachers that go to school to teach and learn. There is no problem with those people.
Yeah.
Absolutely none. They don't need a gun. They don't even, I would even say, go as far as, well, they need protecting against those that don't obey laws, but they have no other agenda but to learn and teach. That's it. You ain't got to worry about calling their parents to come to the school, other than they're going to be there for the PTA meeting. They're going to participate because they're caring parents. You ain't got to worry about them. You don't have to worry about the parents or the student that before they leave home, their parents say to them, I don't want to have to ever go to the school behind foolishness with you. You're going there to learn, and that's what I want you to do, because I want you to make something out of yourself. And they spend time with their children at home before they even get on the bus or they get dropped off at school. They do the necessary things to those students so that you won't have problems with it. You ain't got to call the police. You don't have to have a security for those kids. But on the other hand, things are put in place for crazy folks. And I say crazy folks, but law, the people that are not law-abiding citizens. They just send their kids to school, and they say, if you ever have a problem with that teacher, you call me, and I'm going to put something on them. Them kids go to school with an attitude. They better not tell you nothing. They better not mess with you. And the kids go there crazy as all get out. And they take their parents' gun, and they go to school and say, I'm going to handle this myself, because that's in their minds. So that's just a little bit that I have for right now.
Wow. That's good. That's good. It's a lot going on with this particular topic, man. Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
Yeah, man. I want to try to come up with solutions of what option would be best. So, because I don't want to get off this phone line with just hearing a whole bunch of opinion and passion and nobody really coming up with a good solution. So Toya made a good point. You can't tell crazy all the time, but we know it exists. And the atmosphere right now requires that there needs to be armed security in those schools somehow, some type of armed security. Now, sometimes when you make a point, that point is enough to disqualify option, and we don't even have to even bring that up no more. We already know that there are crazy racist soldiers. We already know that there are crazy racist police, and there are all these people that go to war. They don't deserve guns, and they come back and they throw. But nobody cares more about a child than their parent. Supposed to. That's supposed to be natural.
Absolutely.
So if you got anybody that would be the perfect security up in that school, it would be a qualified parent that believes in education and believes that a teacher is supposed to be there to be stress-free and to do her job and doing what she loves, and that is educating our children and our teens. The reason why it would be so much more, the security thing, You know, like with the prison, I brought that up once before. That's why I wasn't really against the prison thing, the narrative that I spun, because you can't even get into a prison, and those are the criminals.
Yeah, exactly.
Break into one of them and teach somebody else. You can't. They got them protected. But see, this is what it would be so much more beneficial for two parents in the classroom, armed, maybe some retired MMA fighters, because even the worst MMA fighters is better than the average person on the street.
Absolutely.
So, you know, you get those people in there, what they do, not only do they prevent outsiders from coming in with guns hurting people, they protect students from teachers and teachers from students. As parents, you can report suspicious activity. As parents, you can report and say, hey, look, it looked like this teacher's showing favoritism. You can do evaluations and make reports. Look like this student and this teacher might be having an inappropriate relationship. As a parent, they're not doing complete security. You ain't just securing because of the guns and the people coming in with the gun, but you're securing because of the bullying that's going on. You're securing because of the sexual inappropriate behavior that's going on between teachers and students. There's a whole lot more security need to go on between these teachers and these students.
That's right.
So now you put parents in there that's armed and concerned about the best benefit of those children. I can't think of nobody else that's trained. You train them because they have to qualify. You give them background checks. You do evaluations on them. They're going to have supervisors. Ask them how they feel about education. Ask them how they feel about politics. Make sure they aren't extremists. See just how passionate they are about education and making sure that their children come home and go to school and come back safely, not being raped. You know, I'm going to tell you something. It is hard for a teacher. I've even heard of children at 5 and 6 that they had their first sexual contact in preschool on the cot because somebody thought everybody was asleep and they decided to go outside with the rest of the women and talk. And one of the children just happened to be a little bit slicker than the other one. But imagine if it was some parents in there monitoring. Then they probably wouldn't need guns, but then you probably wouldn't need one with a gun. It would be hard for that little child to go and introduce that other little mannish child to that type of behavior. Because I've heard this. So, I mean, anything can happen when you don't have eyes on people, but you still have to put precautionary measures in place. I think a parent, to me, there's too many pros and not enough cons to consider the parents. And I think a parent would be the best option out of anybody.
Okay.
Like I said, 2 parents per classroom. So somebody probably going to come up with that business plan and create it and get some legislation and get rich off of it. But it has to happen because we are living in those times now.
Exactly. Let me go to Curtis. Curtis, what do you think about that 2-parent situation that Rico is talking about, and letting the parents be the ones to govern?
Oh, I said it earlier. The parents got the most skin in the game. And let me be the one to throw this out here. Training is everything, man.
Let me say this, Curtis.
Problems in America,
Curtis, let me say this real quick because I'm glad you said that because it's gonna bring me back to something that Rico just said, and one of the words that stuck out when he was saying, he said qualified. You know, they have to be qualified because not just training, but the person have to be qualified in order to do the things, and that's the part that stuck out that I really heard that.
Yeah. Hey, Rocky, and it can't just be any parent.
Yeah.
It can't be that parent that don't like to come to the school and see what's going on with the child's grade. It got to be somebody that really is concerned about their child.
Yeah, and that word qualified, it jumped out at me. I said, okay, now we're going somewhere. But go ahead, Curtis. Good point, Rico.
Parents got the most skin in the game. Period. So it would be phenomenal. It would be a smart business decision to put the parents in the schools. It gives the parents the ability to have some accountability for their students, for their own children, as well as the children of others. The other thing is, let's clip something up here, man, because I don't want people listening to this show to then get off the show and go back telling other folks that, you know, these people was talking about training was not a necessity, right? Training is very, 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 very important, and that's been a problem in America. America has been asking folks to do jobs thinking about the dollar, right? Thinking about the dollar that can be made without properly training people. So the jobs have not been, man, what is she doing? So the jobs have not been being properly done. So you wind up having to do double work, right? In training, if I take everybody on this panel and I do not train y'all and I put us all in a line and I say the enemy is south of us, when you see them start to fire, 9 times out of 10, most of the people that are going to fire, they're going to fire straight down the lane. They're going to fire straight down the lane. So now you got this enemy that's sitting there. He's watching your sector of fire. And he's saying, because he's properly trained, he's saying, okay, my lanes are here, there, and there. That's where my lanes are. So guess what? Instead of rushing straight forward, we're going to rush through these lanes right here because there's no sector. These are the lanes where the sector of fire is not being covered. But proper training tells you that guess what? We stand side by side and we fire across. You understand what I'm saying? So if I'm standing on the right, I fire basically shooting to my left.
Yeah.
If you're standing on my left, you fire basically shooting to my right.
Crossing up.
Okay. So because you do that, guess what happens? You do not allow for the enemy to have a lane to pressure you up the front. It is front like that all the way around the whole entire 360-degree cipher that you have. It's called sectors of fire. Training is everything. When we was in the desert, even when I was in Haiti, we had training on how to hit the door. How to hit the door so that you don't go in these people's house. If you got to go in these people's house, you don't wind up going in these people's house and shooting their kids. There's a point, man. He hit the door. Dude coming behind him. When he coming behind him, the first thing he say is clear. Or he say weapon. Now, he got to have a lot of heart because he might be the first one to go. But there's certain parts about training that is needed. You put the gun in the hands of a teacher that don't know nothing about firing guns. She pull a gun and just squeeze the trigger. She's not thinking about windage. She's not thinking about none of that. She pull it, he pull it, he squeezed the trigger. Now that bullet done went through the floor, through the roof, through the ceiling, under the floor, and done hit the teacher upstairs in the foot. Or hit one of the kids upstairs. So there's training is missions essential.
Yeah.
And the parents they got the most skin in the game. Lastly, I'll say this. Guess what? This reminds me of the Beltman Porter. I don't know if everybody know what the Beltman Porter was, but the Beltman Porter was what really established the black middle class in America. If you did that, do you know that we could transmogrify the income base of the average family within a given community?
Good deal. Absolutely.
I'll land my plane right there, bro.
Good deal. We got a lot of things going on. As a matter of fact, I think we have Navy with us this morning as well. Navy, are you there?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, sis. How you doing this morning?
We all right. How y'all doing this morning?
Hey, doing good. We're talking about right now the idea of teachers having guns in the classroom. Navy, what is your thoughts on that?
Who was that was before me? Because whoever that was, I think pretty much summed up my thoughts, majority of my thoughts, because I don't personally, I don't agree with it. I mean, first of all, and I hate to be this person, but you already don't pay these teachers enough. And they're like on the line. Like I hate to be that person, but let's just start with that first. Like they literally go in with their lives on the line anyway without a gun. And for some people that may be even more of an argument to give them a gun. But if the answer to these school shootings is, hey, just arm all the teachers with a gun, then I'm sorry, that's a very Mickey Mouse and juvenile way and lazy way of truly protecting our schools, protecting our kids, and protecting the teachers in there. I mean, I don't know, one of the schools down here in Biloxi, last year they had was it last year or year before last? I don't know. Either way it goes, they had like a few threats or what have you. So what they did was it was only two, but they set up two like checkpoints coming in and out of the school. Like it was just like the little standard metal detectors or what have you. But I mean, like, for all I know, that could have helped somebody. And if you're willing, and then on top of that, you got to think about not everybody's comfortable with a gun. So like the gentleman before me was talking about, like the training. People have to be trained for this. And just because a teacher is trained for it, you still got to think about the fact of, am I going to be able to execute when that time comes? Because when fight or flight kicks in, that's very real.
Yeah.
You're either going to do one of four things. You're actually going to execute, you're going to freeze, you're going to give up and run, or you're just going to stay stuck there. Like you don't know. There's no way for us to know how the teachers are going to respond just based off of your fight or flight response in the first place, or if you're even comfortable with having a gun. But why are we requiring our teachers to have a gun whenever we can use that money to outsource and actually provide protection for them? Like, I just feel like that if that's the only solution that the state officials, the city officials, the school board, or whoever came up with this idea could come up with, then I'm sorry, that's just Mickey Mouse to me.
Good deal, good deal. Captain, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Asking the question, how do you feel about this, Captain? Teachers having guns in the classroom. What is your thoughts?
Well, it's very interesting that you asked me that. I do active shooter training. Yesterday, I gave my 3 hours active shooter training at a school, Legacy Academy. And part of the, it's titled, Run, Hide, and Fight. And in the training, it asks the question, what do you do if you're concealed, if you're carrying a concealment? One of the things we did, we polled the teachers. There was over 50 teachers in the training. And I asked the question to the teachers. It really was a 50-50. Most of them, it was almost a 50-50. Those felt that they should be able, because Ohio is a open carry. It used to be, they just passed a law, signed a law last couple months ago, where you don't need a concealed CC license. Anybody who carries a weapon, anyone can carry a concealed weapon. One of the things that I realized, Raheem, is that the great question that was presented about the teachers and all of the ones who disagree about carrying a weapon was they did not feel that having a weapon in the school, that it was good for any of the students who may know they have a weapon. One teacher said she had a concealed handbag so the student couldn't see the weapon. The other argument was, why would you want a weapon in the classroom? And knowing that, they don't have they don't even have a training specifically designed for the teachers. There is not a training that would teach the staff or the teachers how to deal with that weapon. The most important part was they all agreed, if the security of the school, a human resource officer, as they call them, who carries a weapon, that was sufficient enough for them. If the security of the school, who are trained security, carries a weapon, that was sufficient enough for them not to bring the weapon into the school. So that was the compromise, that they have security that carries a weapon. One of the most important parts that you asked, I think is very crucial, is that no one under what we call, I like what the sister said, it's called fight or flight. In law enforcement, it's called hypervigilance. When you're under a crisis, no human being can function at a normal rate when you're under a crisis of a fight or flight of the hypervigilance. So you're not at the best of being able to know how to handle that weapon. Matter of fact, if the fight or flight or the hypervigilance is what you call the knee-jerk response, because now you something to do anything under that hypervigilance. You're very reactive. You know, your emotions is quick. Your ability to make a quick decision is not like normal. So to put any teacher into a situation of like an active shooter and give them a gun and expect them to respond normally, that's a crisis all by itself.
Wow.
So I disagree with teachers having a gun, because if you have ever had a weapon under the condition, your life is very much being threatened by an active shooter. You're not in a normal response, and you may not make a normal decision. And the decision that you make may not only cause you to take a life, which there's nobody cares nothing about an active shooter. It's the only time that teachers are given or anyone given permission to kill somebody is an active shooter. At the same time, you're not in your right mind to be able to make right decisions. I don't think no weapons should be put in the school. I think it's bad enough that our children have to be going to a school where you got metal detectors and you got armed security. But however, that came up in our active shooter, and I go everywhere I go. It's a really a big discussion. Matter of fact, it's the only time where I get an active conversation with the teachers is when we deal with should they be able to carry a weapon, whether it was a 50-50. But he did agree, that all of them did agree, if the security resource officer carries a weapon, they don't need to bring their weapon in the school.
Wow, that's good. That's good. And I'm glad that you called in, because you actually train people in that area. And so there's a level of expertise there in your comment that I definitely appreciate. This is what public citizen Paul said. He said, I don't trust cops. I don't trust teachers. I don't trust parents. Guns do not belong in schools in a sane world. In a sane world, he said guns don't belong in schools. Cassandra, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Cassandra, you've been an ex-educator yourself, been in the school in the school classroom for 10 years or more. How do you feel about teachers having guns in the classroom?
I think it's a horrible idea.
Wow.
Was that Cap talking?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, even if that split was 50-50, and that was probably more out of people thinking about being afraid of what would happen if they had an active shooter in the school. I think it's a horrible idea. I think that having a resource officer that has a weapon is more than enough. I really believe that. If he does his job, you know what I'm saying? And if he's trained to do that. I totally agree with Kat when it comes to being in an active shooter. So you don't just think about how we react when things happen, like somebody pulls in front of us, you know, in our car. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Your reactions are totally off. You know, you may want to jump out your car like a guy tried to do to me one time. But you can't. I don't think it's safe. I think it's a horrible idea. We don't need any more guns in the school other than a resource officer. And I would not want one, because these kids today, I definitely wouldn't want one if I was still teaching school. I would not want one.
Exactly.
Yeah. So no, I think it's a horrible idea.
Good deal. Good deal. Badger, what's on your heart, brother?
All right. Yeah. So I've been sitting here listening to people's perceptions and opinions and things like that. Then I heard Rico say solutions. So I decided to do some research while people were talking. Has anyone looked up how, we'll go from the 90s even, how bad mental health has gotten in our schools? Hey, anyone on the call? Just
No.
curious.
No.
So it's tripled, quadrupled in mental health issues. Why is that? So I dug a little bit farther, and and came to a realization of something that's called hate, where you're evil if you're gay, you're evil or wrong if you're disabled, you're social media. You know, you have to make TikTok videos, you have to be a part of certain social medias, otherwise you deal with cyberbullying. If you make a mistake, it ends up on the internet where millions can see, and so on and so on. And I remember when I was a kid, the most I had to worry about in school was some bullies and making sure I make good grades. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yet today, in this society, the amount of stress that kids are put under, I don't think people acknowledge. And then you have these kids that grow up in a violent atmosphere of greed, guns, drugs, alcohol, bullying from pretty much anywhere and everywhere.
30 seconds.
What do you expect's going to happen
Mm.
as a human being? What do you expect's going to happen when when a child goes from being little, you know, realizing they're different, they grow up constantly being bullied by everyone, adults and peers alike, and they have access to weapons.
Mm.
If they snap, it's going to happen. So the mental health of our current society, I almost wanted to say those that were supporting guns actually upset me, and I think it's absolutely sad.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Good deal.
Because to me,
Gotta wrap it
guns
up,
are for
man.
the weak.
Mm-hmm. Good
Just
deal.
period.
Good.
Guns are for the weak.
Guns up for the weak. Absolutely. Okay. Okay. Ibrahim, what's on your heart, sir?
Well, you know, after meditating and thinking and taking respite from the rest of the conversation, I come to the conclusion now. I asked you. Now, I got a relative that was a vice principal, and teacher for years, whole doctorate degree. And I was in a school where one time and seen other students, and I mentioned the fact, and she was just so frustrated. But she also mentioned the fact that parents were even worse. And because of the way she was going through, she wished she would bring her gun to school, you know, protect herself. So the question I would ask you, if your wife, Raheem, or anybody else's parent or yourself, if you felt that you needed to protect yourself, would you bring a gun? Or would you rather to suffer whatever fate that you could see intimate that was coming, that was there, and that you knew with your experience in that particular environment, would you find it wrong to bring a gun to protect yourself if you knew that the other possibility is to suffer some type of harm? And I'll leave that question out to you.
Okay.
All this hate and discontent.
Okay. That's a good question, brother. That's a real good question. But I will have to weigh over the whole situation and find out whether, if I feel that threatened with going to that particular job, should I even consider getting another job, going in another direction? If that is an option. In some situations, that's not an option. Some situation, a person has invested so much into that profession that they can't walk away. And if I'm in a situation where I feel as though I've invested too much into that occupation and I can't walk away from it, would I bring a gun? I truth of the matter, being totally honest and transparent with you, brother, I don't know. I can't say yes or no because, you know, it depends on the situations and the circumstances surrounding and how strongly I felt about the way that I feel. But I do know that if I were to bring a gun, if I were to bring that gun, I would not take it into the classroom. I would leave it. I would probably leave it in my car and hoping that I'll be able to make it to my vehicle to get it out my vehicle, but not taking it to the classroom because just like Doc Cat was saying, it's just like Cassandra was saying, in the heat of that moment, when you have that gun and you in that situation at that particular time, you never know what your mindset is going to be like, brother. You never know. Rico, what's on your heart? I hope I answered your question, though. Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
I'm gonna go back to the solutions, man. Because everything else I'm hearing isn't really accomplishing anything. It's just a bunch of good points, though, a bunch of facts and a bunch of truth. You know, I think about what Paul said. In the same world, we wouldn't do that, but evidently we are not in the same world. And how many years after Columbine does it take for you to realize that we are not in the same world? See, there's nobody more vulnerable in society than the elderly and the children. You got security that protect people from coming into jobs they don't work at, buildings. People have security for certain reasons to protect important things. But to me, the most important and most vulnerable things in society right now are the elderly people and children. So I think about the Parkland shooting. The headline read, former Portland security officer Sue Peterson charged with neglect for not entering school. Remember, he didn't run in there. And he heard that AR-15 going off. And he had a gun. But I bet if it's his children in there, oh boy, he'd have went in there blazing. Some probably would have came over him. Oh, my baby's in there. Let me go check this. So I look at, like I said, out of all the things, our opinions about not wanting guns in school ain't saving none of these children. The conditions that exist now are that children are being taken advantage of in schools, not only from outsiders coming in, shooting them, but from teachers just screwing them. And I'm pretty sure nobody's more concerned about that than the parents of those children. So now I'm going to go back to an alternative solution, because that teacher thing, that soldier thing, and that police thing ain't really too much guaranteed. I'm going to go with the people that are going to care the most. And I'm going to give them incentives. Because not only can you come to the school, now you might not be in the same classroom with your child, but you're going to be in that school. That way, if you need to handle something with your child, we can come and let you know in this other classroom that you're doing security in. See, everybody got first responders. Now it seems like it's about time the government to come up with another department of first responders for the school security. Because like I said, we are having to protect our teachers from the students too. So we could keep on going back and forth with why the teachers don't need guns. We done said it too many times. You could come up with 1,000,001 reasons. And like I said, some of them teachers will get the guns taken from them and used on them because they're weak.
Better say it.
And it don't matter. It don't matter. It doesn't matter the fact that you are weak if you need a gun. Guess what? Somebody using them. Your opinion about somebody being weak because they need a gun don't stop those kids or bring them back to life in Uvalde. So the conditions exist that weak people got guns. We need security for our children and our elderly, mainly children, since we're talking about this. And the people that are probably going to be more concerned and more adamant to protect their children are parents. So give them great incentives, job benefits. It benefits them to be involved at the school, and they also are creating incomes for families. There's so many win situations, and we still sitting up here ranting. I don't like it. Well, what's the solution? I don't threw it out there 3 times.
Good deal. Let me go to Toya with a T. Toya, what's on your heart?
Yeah, very valid points, right? Because there are the things that we're worried about happening is already happening. Oh, they might get shot by the teacher that got the gun. Well, that's already happening out here on the streets with, drive-bys, and sometimes with parents and the kids find the gun and, do all this. And the point of these things happening are that we're not dealing with responsible people. We're not using the rules and the laws on gun handling, gun safety when entering into these situations. And then again, we have to assume accountability for our actions. These guns is not doing this on their own. So Rico said solutions. this been happening, right? We talking about Columbine. Why don't we still have security with video monitored systems in our schools? All of them. Why not? People have made inventions to help stop doors and, different things to help prepare them if that happens, put a ladder in the window and get out in execution. Why haven't we come up with safety programs? This is not a matter of questioning. Some things should have been implemented instantly. So we got to go back to the systematic things that they do to make us fair. Because all humans that don't want something happening again, we normally do what? Put things in play. So why don't we have something done by now? Maybe like the conspiracy theorists say, because it's staged, but I'm not going to go there because I'm going to get us cut off. All right. Why don't we have those cameras linked to go straight to the city, states, and sheriffs? Nico made a point because a lot of them folks that still got them guns and stuff is scary. Listen. You know how many times I had pistols pulled out on me by men, but I'm so crazy. Honey, we was scrapping, honey. I walked up on the pistol because I'm not scared to die. I'm going to do this, but what you ain't finna do, not finna happen. I'm going to take your gun from you and beat you with it. Now, everybody can't do that, but why we not training our kids to do that? Listen, my father didn't leave this world to be dealt with by nobody but me. And I know it was uncomfortable for him to teach me things that was going to protect me, but might hurt another human. And he explained the world to you. Listen, let me tell you something. When I get done with you, you cannot fight no normal girl because you're going to jail. You can't be out there wilding because you're going to jail because I've taught you too much, and that's going to cause an issue. So you need to have great discipline. But if you are ever in a situation where it's your life and theirs, let me tell you something. You better break every law to live. You understand me? And that's what we need to be teaching our kids. Forget giving this responsibility to a government to prepare your child how to get away alive. You understand me? That is our responsibility to teach them what is going on in this world, and whatever you need to do, teach them kung fu, jujitsu. You see it coming, stand by the door, come in, blah, 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 whatever you need to do. You need to prepare your child how to get away to alive, and it ain't nobody else's responsibility. So why we cackling about this right here on how we gonna protect your child? You better teach them everything they need to know to live. And forget all this stuff here we talking, honey, because it's all good until it's like Rico said earlier. They child inside the building. So it's up to us to prepare our children on how to get away alive. And when them kids come home, they can look at you and tell you, I tell my parents safely, Mommy, listen, you ain't got to ever worry about anything happening to me, but you better worry about what happens to the other person, because that's how y'all raised me. Good deal. That's what it is.
Good deal. Good deal. Cassandra, what's on your heart? Talk to me. Toussaint, coming to you next. Cassandra?
I respect, that's how, Toya was raised, and that's what she would do. But the average person, the average child, that's not going to happen. They're not going to have her skills, to protect themselves. And I don't think a child should be put in that position where they should have to do that. I think that there are other measures, like we can get metal detectors, we can get all kinds of alarms. It's on doors, do classroom doors where they have these automatic. It's a whole bunch of stuff that we have not tapped into. And, who was it? Badger talked about, has anyone checked into the mental health? Yeah, I have. Mental health is a part of what I do as well. So mental health, these kids are under more pressure than ever. Anything that I ever, and I went through a lot, and anything that these kids are under even more pressure than what I went through and a whole lot of other people in here may have gone through. And they are breaking, and they're making decisions like, how many of these kids have been mainly high school age kids that have been just pressured and having mental breaks? A lot of them have. We can say, no, they just went in there and just shut up. No, most of these people have had mental health issues. So that's another area that we could concentrate on to try to bring some changes. But I think a whole bunch of, parents in the school with guns and all. You can do that, and I don't think it's going to work out very well for us. I really don't. But I believe allowing the trained officers to be there with their guns, and also setting up metal detectors when people come through into the school building, that those detectors would go off immediately. I believe those are the type of answers that would best benefit us as a society. But teachers with guns or teaching your children to fight, we have enough kids fighting. And once a lot of these kids, get like the type of training Toya got, they'll probably be fighting more than they're fighting in school right now, which is ridiculous, especially in Atlanta. But that's just my opinion.
Good deal. Toussaint, what's on your heart, brother?
I'm gonna throw something out there, and this is really everybody. I think Cap the only one. I don't know if there's anybody else that are trained for it. But one thing you can't train for, the element of surprise. You can train for what you do know, but what you don't know, it's gonna happen. So you're sitting in class, you're learning, you're doing what you're supposed to do. You got some good kids, got some bad kids. You know just about what their parents is, and all of a sudden you see a briefcase sitting there, and boom, all your training is out the door because somebody planted a bomb in the place. What you gonna do? What should you have done then? I'm just saying. We live in a society that people are thinking of some way to do something to you right now. It don't have nothing to do with the gun or let's just eliminate the bomb. Let's talk about a chemical that somebody says, okay, he may be the janitor. Got an echo. Maybe it's just my phone. But he's a fired or a disciplined janitor, and he just so happens is an ex-military, and he knows how to put a chemical in the vent. What is a metal detector gonna do? When you got, what is that little look like baking soda? What is that?
I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking
about. You know
what
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Anthrax.
You're talking about anthrax.
Yes. What is it going? See, because we just having a conversation. I mean, I'm not no professional or anything. I'm just making a comment. Don't mean a thing, but I know it happens. It doesn't happen. Because people are mean and nasty and ugly and thinking about stuff. It's not the same people. It's somebody that all of a sudden. We had a guy. He was the nicest guy that you could ever meet. And he kept asking to be transferred. And because of a vindictive manager, they just wanted to continue to abuse him. And he kept on. 2 of them. Nicest guy you ever want to meet. Family, wife, children. And one morning, he just wanted to talk to him. And they said, we don't have time. He had already made up in his mind, I'm not going to take this no more.
Yeah.
I don't know. We got security. You can't just walk in here and just think you're just going to come in. But he did. And in the meeting, when they asked him to leave, he started shooting.
Wow.
And he wasn't just randomly shooting, because they had some people running and just all we could hear is gun. And one lady, I know her, she said he looked right at me And he told me, he said, I'm not after you.
Mm-hmm.
He hiding under the step, kept on moving. And right before her was the guy that he was looking for.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. And that's what I mean right there, man. You never know. You never know. Willa, good morning, Willa. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Raheem. Good morning, Morning Glow. Good morning.
Willa, we asking the question, and I want to have you hear your heart on this right here, man. Guns in school, teachers having guns in school. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Raheem, you never really know what's the real solution to the element of surprise.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what Tucson was kind of saying is that, you're not really affected until it's in your backyard, or your front yard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how much we prepare for stuff like that. The worst enemy is for us as a person, as a human being, is to think that it'll never happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the worst enemy, because sometimes we get so complex and so comfortable in this evil, especially now, in this evil and wicked world. And I'm not saying that we should be walking around like we're on eggshells, but we should be walking around paying attention to things that are not normal.
Mm-hmm.
And they tell you all the time, when you notice something. That's why I couldn't understand when that man was who had shot those two men with that riot. He was walking around with a big old gun, and people thought that it was normal.
Mm-hmm.
So, for teachers to have guns in school, as a solution, I don't know if that would be, because if they knew that teachers were allowed to have guns in school, to me, thinking on the other side of the coin, that would be the first person that they might go after.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying with that one. So for you to give out, what should I say, what would be the security of safety of it all would be ignorant on the part of us believing that a criminal is not thinking the same way. That's what I'm trying to say.
Exactly.
So, the knowledge of knowing that one day it could happen would be my solution to say, I'm going to prepare myself. Because, real quick, Raheem, when I go into a mall these days, my first thing is to map out my security. When I go into church, seriously, my first thing is to map out my security. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not thinking that something is not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm preparing myself for something to happen.
Exactly.
That's what I want to say.
Good deal.
Amen.
Good deal. Paul, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Hey,
Sounds like we're in a heated thing here.
Hey, way out Wednesday, brother.
Yeah, way out Wednesday. I'm a teacher. I've been in this career for about 25 years. I have gun training. I have martial arts training. I'm a pretty strong guy, and I don't think it's a good idea. Just generally, we need less guns overall in society. Even though I am a gun owner and I support the Second Amendment, just there's a lot of people that are mentally ill, and I think you have to address the underlying what's causing people to snap. Like, people have all these extreme views. We see, look what's happening with all these Trump supporters now, because they're God made flesh is being investigated by the government. They're willing to die for him. We have people who are in cults, millions of people in this country who are in cults, all kinds. So how do we address that? I mean, if we want to stop violence, I think you got to go to the root of the problem, is that people are crazy, you know, and God love them. God bless them. You know, I'm sure they're not all terrible people. We got to save them somehow. They need to be saved. I don't know what else to say. I mean, a lot of people said, oh, training. Well, do you guys remember a couple of weeks ago in DC? I was in DC a couple of weeks ago. So this happened when I was there. A veteran police trainer was training one of the special police officers in the library there, the Smithsonian, and shot her. And this guy had like 30 years experience. So, you know, guns are dangerous. We know, if you don't think guns are dangerous, you don't know about guns. Of course they're dangerous. So even in the hands of somebody who is, you know, veteran, tons of experience, it's still dangerous. People we need to help our brothers and sisters who are crazy, that are in cults, and that's it. That's my comment.
Now, you being an educator, Paul, are we gonna use it? Are we gonna use the verbiage crazy? Are we gonna call them crazy or call them mentally disturbed?
I know. You're right. I shouldn't use that word, but you know, there's a difference between in my mind there's a difference between crazy and mentally ill. Like mentally ill is like you're not out to hurt people, but like a crazy person doesn't care. They don't care about others. But you're right. I shouldn't use that word.
Okay, good deal. Rico, what's on your heart?
You know, man, I hear where Paul is coming from.
Yeah.
Guns are bad. They hurt people. Obviously, we don't had enough experience since Columbine and even before then, even with John F. Kennedy, to see the damage that they could do. But they're here now. And it looked like they ain't going nowhere. So now we say, well, you know what? These children going through stress and they need to be trained. Well, guess what? Some parents ain't training their children to do that. We see that now. So that atmosphere exists. Well, we say, well, we need to, we keep coming up with things that shouldn't be happening, but it happened. We need to talk about mental health. Well, we know mental health has been an issue, but they ain't did nothing about it. So the conditions that exist warrant us to come up with an alternative solution. And being that we know guns are dangerous and they're bad, and we've been seeing since Columbine the people we're using, we got to make some tough decisions. Because those children should only have to be worried about coming to school and learning, and the teachers should only have to worry about coming to school and teaching. They shouldn't have to worry about all that. So like Willa said, you have to come up with some type of precautionary measures and be aware that this can exist. You just can't walk around here like a chicken with your head cut off and say, well, guns are bad, we need to get rid of guns. They ain't going nowhere. I don't need to bring it up no more. I think we all get it, that guns are bad. If you feel like you need to explain that to somebody, then, you know, I don't know what to say, because I think everybody realizes by now the damage that the gun to do. That's why so many people want them. Video games even show them that, and they don't even want to ban video games because they just games, and we don't want to blame the gaming industry because I like gaming. But that nature, that atmosphere exists, that culture exists. So now what you got to do to live and survive in that culture, you got to put some people that got skin in the game that really want to protect their most vulnerable citizens that are in that culture, the children and the teachers. So you might have to go ahead and put some guns in the school, in the hands of parents that want to make sure the teachers ain't doing it wrong as their students, or nobody else in the outside coming in and doing anything, and to make sure that their children are being bullied. So many different things that can happen. So, you know, I look at this. We can go to our government and say, you know, everything evolves and progresses. We have fire departments. We have ambulance drivers or emergency responders. We have police. We have military. All these people, first responders for aggression and for rescuing people in bad situations. And they are hired for those situations that may occur, so they can be ready if they occur. And now we need to come up with another department, the Department of School and Education Security.
Absolutely.
And if they come up with that department, and then they start pushing it to our legislators and our government officials to create funding, create a budget to pay parents to come and get employed doing that school security.
Good deal.
It's a win-win-win. I'm just looking for a solution because all these opinions and feelings ain't stopping nobody from getting shot in no school or bringing them back alive.
Exactly. And my thing about what you just said is this right here. You didn't say, and I don't want people to miss this. You didn't say give teachers guns. You say put parents in place of teachers, and that kind of goes right along with what I was saying in a roundabout way about having more resource officers, something like this, because those parents would act as resource officers to a certain degree, and they will be there to monitor the schools, and it'll take the guns out of the teachers' hands. There's so many different levels on the thing. Curtis, what's on your heart, brother? Cap, coming to you next. Curtis, you there?
Yeah, I'm right here.
What's on your heart, brother?
I'm right here, bro.
Let's talk solutions. What's on your heart?
The solution is simple. We done talked about it. Want to do? Get the parents some skin in the game. You know what I mean? They already got some skin in the game. Get the parents some skin in the game, and set up a training. You got all these military bases around, all these basic training bases around the country. You got locations on these bases that's not even being used. You can just filter them right into the training. You let them go to the range, this, that, and the third, let them get trained. They don't have to go through the whole basic training thing and all the exercise and all that, but just the concept of how to set a perimeter, what things to look for when you're doing bomb checks, when you're doing, you know what I mean, when you bomb checking a car, how to pull ID cards. I mean, like, shoot, most of the training facilities around America is being guarded by civilians anyway. When you really think about it, you might have one or two MPs standing out there, but the rest of the guards are civilians. Fort Jackson is completely guarded by civilians. You see what I'm saying? So, the bottom line is to keep, if you keep your large conglomerates out of the discussion, then we won't have these problems.
That's good. That's good.
Logic is getting into this discussion. So they're taking it down because they only thinking about how much money they gonna make selling guns. If you say, look at it like this, right? And I ain't gonna talk too long. Look at it like this: the average 9mm probably costs $300. The average 9mm, $300. So if you put just one 9mm in every school, just one. Now we know that that's not gonna happen. We know it's gonna be more than that. But if you put just one 9mm in every school, in America, what kind of contract is that?
Wow.
What kind of? So we got to see beyond. We got to see beyond. I don't know how to word this, man. We got to see the crap. We got to actually do the work. If you're going to do this, it has to be planned strategically, and it has to be properly strategically planned.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
Just gonna throw a gun in there. Be all right. No.
Absolutely. Cap, talk to me.
Well, Rico is very strong about solutions. Let me share a couple of things now. We have been search. We've been searching at our need. Hey man, why you got to search, man? I don't like this. Why you got to search? And then of course I won search. And now security became an issue for us. Nobody had no problem being searched and scanned in the airport. Time dictates the agenda. 2000 and the year 2000, that is the issue, active shooter. But as it started over the years, they didn't have active shooter training in the schools until. But time dictates the agenda. And with my brother, you cannot prepare for it. You cannot expect. How do you expect it?
You can't, but you definitely could prepare for it. Prepare is the best solution. It's like this. I'd rather have it, I have to use it, and have to use it, and don't know it. We are now talking about this year loaded. The peacekeepers are now with security in 6 schools. We want security in schools like that. But people, parents are concerned with safety of. So number one, when they do open house schools, it's the number one issue. The parents want to know what kind of guy.
Cap, Cap, it's starting to skip a little bit. It's starting to skip a little bit. Are you talking about? Are you talking? Let me hear you. Go ahead.
They said, I'm not sending my kid to no school where there's no security. I believe that you should never send your children to no school if they don't have a security plan. Now, whether that security is armed or unarmed, if security is substantially qualified, then of course the teachers don't need to bring no weapon. The principal of the school we did the training said she carries a weapon, but she leave it in her car because she trusts the security. Now, I'm going to take what Rico said. You know, you have to give security to the elderly, and you have to give security to the children. You go, there's some of you that will not even go to a club if they ain't got security. Because, you know, sure enough, when you walk in that club, you say, oh, they got security. And some people will not go to the club because they got security.
Yeah.
But the main thing is we have to secure today, more today than ever. We have to look at, are you going to send your children to a school with no security? Now, I'm not with the metal detectors because in New York City, family, when I was living in New York, they had metal detectors. They did not have metal detectors, family, for active shooters. You know why they have metal detectors in New York? So that the kids do not come into school with a book bag and with a gun in their book bag. They weren't worried about the active shooter. They were more concerned about these kids having weapons coming into the school with their weapons. Now, the scenario has changed. But let me say this about active shooters. You don't know this. It ain't all the time active shooters is coming in killing people with a gun. There are active shooters, they call it active shooters, but there are those who come in with a knife. How do you know, man, if somebody in there stabbing up a lot of people? You ain't hear no gunshots. It's easy to go in schools and hear gunshots. Oh, snap, what is that? And then through your training, you can prepare to deal with that. But what if somebody ain't got a gun? They mad, they coming in, they stabbing people as they walk around. The only way you know somebody is being killed or being confronted in a very danger is one thing that is consistent, is screaming. Hollering and screaming gives everybody alert. When you hear, and people, what's going on? So it's good to be prepared. And I think what Rico said, yes, you should not send none of your children to school as a parent until, number one, if you go to open house, you got to say, what are your security measures before I send my kids to your school? And the parent must make the choice whether that security is sufficient enough for them to send their kids to that school. And I don't think they're going to come up with, say to the parents, well, the teachers got guns. I don't think that's going to go fly too well. But I think the security measures is very important. We have to protect our elderly. Today, security is the number one priority in. And today, and I know Paul is a teacher, and I'm sure he's in the martial arts. But one of the things we did at the active shooter training yesterday is that we offered all of the staff, all of the teachers, self-defense training. That is something that they don't do in the schools. They don't offer self-defense training to the teachers. Listen, you know, if you train anybody to know how to fight, because remember, active shooter is run, hide, fight. Fight is the last resort. But do you know how to fight? Do you know if somebody puts you in a chokehold, how to get out of it? So we're offering teachers and staff self-defense training. It's better to know it and never have to use it than to have to use it and don't know it.
Absolutely.
So I think security is a priority. I think the parents need to know What is the security measures of that school before I send my kids to school? And it has to satisfy the parents' needs.
Good deal.
Not the teachers' needs, the parents' needs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me go on. Rosalind, what's on your heart, sis?
I was just listening in. And this is just my opinion. I mean, everybody has their own opinion, but until you go in the classroom and actually work in the classroom, then you will probably understand where we are coming from as being teachers. As just to know that why we're saying no about guns being in the classroom. But I definitely agree we have to do something at our campus. I'm probably the only one that has experience with handguns, and because I came from working with corrections for 17 years. So out of 10 employees, I'm probably the only one, and I still don't feel comfortable with guns. I just don't. So giving me a gun in the classroom, I would be on edge all day. I would probably be on edge more about the gun than anything. But I definitely feel like something has to be done. And I agree more with what Rico was saying about having the parents to come. That is an awesome idea. But when everything come down to it, they're gonna probably force the teachers to carry a gun. Point blank, period. We're gonna be forced to do it. I don't have a problem with it. If I have to take training to protect me, the teachers, and those babies, or my babies, I'll do it. I don't have a problem with it. Because if somebody come on our campus, I'm going to do everything in my will and power to make sure that those kids go home to their parents. Whatever I have to do, you have to be a thinker. I mean, that's another thing when you put a gun in the hands of a teacher. You know, you have to think. Everybody are not thinkers.
Yeah.
So you have to, it's just like being a police officer. You have to know how to think, and a lot of people don't know how to do that. So I mean, until you go in the classroom and actually teach or actually be observed in the classroom, then you will understand why we're saying no. That's just my opinion.
Exactly. That's good. That's good. Cassandra?
Yeah, I agree with Rosalind. And I think that the idea that Rico has about training parents, I have no problem with that. But I'm saying to have a gun, Rosalind is trained and she's uncomfortable with having a gun in class. What about people that don't have, I mean, even though you put them through, but man, I believe a lot of teachers I know, they would freak out if they had to have a gun in their classroom. I mean, literally. And then the kids would notice that you have a gun somewhere in the classroom, whether you ain't gonna be open carrying more than likely. So you got it either in your purse, in your desk, locked in your desk. But man, these kids, I think it's a horrible idea to have guns on teachers. Just the idea of it makes me cringe. Just because I know the stress the teachers are under, and I know how a lot of these kids behave. So I think I think that would be deadly. You would be asking for trouble.
Wow, that's good. That's good. Willa?
Raheem, like Cassandra was saying, some people feel uncomfortable with guns, but we have to come up with some kind of solution to the problem of, trying to watch the element of surprise, should I say. And I was just thinking while everybody was talking, here in the city of Chicago, what we're going through here when it comes to the violence and everything. So what happened was the city came out with a program that they want everybody on the block, every house, if they could, to get cameras. Get cameras in the front, backyard, get cameras. Now, they're looking at it from after versus pre. I always like to say the pre. When I say pre, it's the before thought, before something happens. But they're looking at it after something happens. That if, in fact, there is a crime or somebody came on your block, that you got video to the crime itself. So, but a lot of people are saying, well, because they're willing to pay for it. They're willing to pay up to $1,000 for you to put cameras on your house, and be able to, if something happens, be able to come in and then capture the video. Well, there's two reasons why a lot of people are rejecting that. They're saying now, well, if they do this, then that makes them owner of my camera. And if something happens, they're now allowing the criminal to say, okay, so now I saw it. You're getting the information from my house. Now you're making me a part of the crime by letting people know it came from my house.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But the reason that I'm saying that is because if they had a monitoring device from the outside perimeters of the school, being able to have where there are alarms on the doors and the windows, those are things like what you call free. Somebody can't get in there without the alarm going off.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So let's look at it from a pre standpoint versus an after effect. That's the plan that I was kind of look at. And then if you do have a gun in the school, nobody ain't gonna know where it is, especially the criminal.
Mm-hmm.
That's on my mind.
Good deal.
That's what I was thinking as a solution right here.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I want to lean now towards solutions to the situations that's at hand. Badger, what's on your heart?
If we're talking about solutions, and I know Rico mentioned about mental health and stuff, how hard parents have to work to be able to take care of their kids, unless, they fall in the right category and make enough money to be home when the kids are home and all that typical stuff, And it's quite interesting to me, hearing some of the responses, I suppose. And I guess my perspective is kind of strange compared to most, due to my personal opinions and the observations and the research that I do and the experiences I've seen and had. I agree with what Public just said. America worships guns, and they do.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there's a reason why I say guns are for weak-minded people. It's so easy to pull the trigger, and then people will fight back and go, well, why didn't they do the Uvalde thing? I don't know. They're just weaker than others, in my opinion. It's yes, games play a factor. Yes, music plays a factor, and so on and so on. Ever since guns have been invented, it's been used for nothing but war, conquering, and slaughtering other human beings. That's all it's for. It's for killing other human beings.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need a gun to fish. You don't need a gun to actually hunt if you know how to do it properly. You don't.
Mm-hmm.
You only need guns to kill other human beings. That's all it's for.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Just period. And it's sad to me how many people are so gung-ho and have that slave mentality of owning guns that I think it's absolutely pathetic.
Wow. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Give us a call. We'd love to have your input. One more time. 508-924-3521. Give us a call.
Right.
We'd love to have your input. Yes.
Okay, yeah, this is Ibrahim.
Okay.
We got me.
Oh.
I don't know if I echo. Well, listen, this is Ibrahim.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was listening to what Rico said about getting parents involved.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard what people saying about this should be done in school. Now, you forget. Now, I guess people didn't hear that last school that was shot up, that school down in Texas, that elementary school, fourth graders, right? That they did have things in play. They had locked doors. They had alarm systems. They had cameras. But the fear out of one of the people that was in the office failed to lock the doors, or the guy had a way of getting into the locked doors, right? The guy that's the perpetrator. And they had a resource officer. He was taken out at the first shot. He was the first one taken out. The resource officer.
Mm-hmm.
I know people forget that. So everything I heard up until about more parents' involvement in that was already being taken place in Atlanta. You know, they've been had people argued against them having metal detectors in their schools. Some schools have, some schools don't. People argue against all these defensive mechanisms because of safety and security of their child, and because they stay with child for a lifetime. Some things stay with child for a lifetime. And we argued against that, but they still have them in place in school. But it seems not to work. Now the parents get more involvement with the parents, and I've seen good and bad sides to that. But it seems to be that the school don't want involvement with parents. You don't want involvement with parents because parents, everybody's not going to agree with the state means of educating people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the state has their own thing in that, right? But so self-defense, I always talk about self-defense,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I think it's ludicrous for anybody to tell me that I have some type of love or some type of death wish, you know, being defending myself in whatever form or fashion I think. You know, I am a victim of gun violence, you know, and and I don't take that lightly. And my thing was I had left my gun in my truck. And I stepped out and I didn't have my gun on me. So, you know, it was imminent that, you know, but I chose a different method rather than run away. I chose to attack. But the whole thing about it is that we have to look at this as a reality. It's a reality that we have. Things are in place. Do we try to make them better? Yes. Do we try to turn our communities into a fascist society, a police state? Absolutely not. We've talked about communism on this show.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody housing with cameras to identify you to be turned over to the state, to me, is just against anything about liberties that I could think of. You're talking about communism and fascism at its extreme.
30 seconds.
That way everybody becomes a snitch or anybody, but still we have to say things in our community. It's community involvement. When we rely on the police force, and we rely on nobody but the police force, and we cannot allow the military to do domestic work. Any major general that we've heard from in the last 100 years is against the military taking on domestic work. They were against that in Iraq. They were against that in Afghanistan. They said we could not do that part. But yet we had such a when we had failed wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a military officer that seemed to be a preferable person, no, they're not trained for that. You know, we have to look at ourselves in a manner that we look at ourselves as human beings, and human beings would do what human beings would do. And to really look at what's going on and detain that, because of the politics of the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right
Wow.
now, what's going on while we're talking about our personal issues and minor things in our community, and these are minor things community we're talking about, that we're talking about an imminent war, and people are telling you they're going to fight. People are going to tell you they want a war. People are going out there committing violence about a war, you know, committing violence and advocating a
Wrap it up for me,
government, a violent change of government, and we're going to ignore them. But yet, this is the way of the world.
Okay.
So, are we going to keep dealing with these issues that have already been done, and keep doing the same thing over and over again, keep the same results? Are we going to move forward now to start dealing with the problem at hand?
Good deal.
You know
Good deal.
what I mean? And that's
Yeah, hold on.
society at large.
Okay, good deal. Good deal. Let me go to Bishop. Good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Man, I'm blessed this morning. How you doing?
Hey, blessed as well, brother. What do you think about, and you are prior law enforcement as well. So tell me your stance. What do you think about teachers having guns in the classroom?
Oh, man. Yeah. I don't know if anybody would really particularly like that. I don't have a problem with the teachers having weapons in the classroom. I look at the fact, man, with all the violence going on in the world today, and the kids or individuals are going to these schools, someone needs to be able to protect these children if they get past the first line of defense. The teachers themselves should be properly trained, though, and make sure they have the right temperament, because you don't want the teacher just because he has a gun but doesn't know how to maintain his composure. When a child acts up in the class and be disrespectful, they don't want to put the gun out on the child and shoot them. But I do think that some teachers should be able to, not every teacher in every classroom, but certain designated ones. But these got to be ones who are also fearless, who's willing to offer themselves as a true sacrifice to protect others.
Bishop, let me pause your time. I'm gonna pause your time for a second. I pause your time. I want to ask you a question. how do you gauge which one is qualified in comparison to which one is not? And how do you know? We talked earlier about two-part course, and we talked earlier about when you're actually in the heat of the moment. Some police officers that's trained every day, sometimes they'll freeze in the heat of the moment. So how are we to say that the teachers won't do the same thing? Starting your time back up.
Okay. Well, that'd be hard to ascertain, or to figure out who. Just anybody, because every teacher doesn't want to carry a gun. A lot of people are afraid of guns. And you said something that's so true. There are some officers, men and women, who get on the force, who really are not as courageous as you would think or should be to protect those individuals. So, I really couldn't even, I don't know how I can even answer that one, my friend. That was a great question, but I don't know if I can answer that one to any end. But I do know that individuals that do carry guns to protect themselves are also inclined to help protect others. Those who don't think on others, just only focus on themselves, are the ones who overreact when incidents take place. Me being a military guy and a police officer, I was taught in both areas how to be able to protect and serve, but yet don't overreact. And that's me. So everything I do, I take, I give all the praise to God that He allowed me to be who I am. But in our society today, question is, I really do think that certain teachers should be allowed to have a gun in their class to protect their children.
Okay, good deal. Toy, you want to talk to me, sis?
Yeah, solutions. Should we dare to hire and allow it to be more sensitive to hire and put in teaching positions previous military experienced individuals or security? Can we get something linked up with national security if it's really that much of an issue, where our satellites and with our visual items to be able to look outside, to be able to see someone and identify that as a weapon? I know they have a machine in the airport that can identify a weapon, but like Willis said, have some cameras shooting outside, and if someone coming towards the building within 100 or something degrees, you need to be able to dissect what they got, a bag or something like that. And if we should have security inside of our schools that should, with what they do, trained in a per instant basis. They should do daily training just in case it's happening. They should go through drills, I guess you want to call it, with paintball, so they can understand that this is real. But most importantly, I think when we attack this issue, let's attack it from the root of it, right? Let's acknowledge the fact that all of these people have profiles. And when it's school shootings, it's normally white males. When it's college students, it can be non-white males. When it's a workplace, again, it's normally white males. When it's a worship place, again, normally white males and sometimes of other colors. But at the end of the day, what do they all have in common? And they all have a profile. Let's skip to the point to where we acknowledge certain things with all of our departments and stop letting stuff slip through the cracks. So when you have someone scanning Facebook with people in your school, when you have the guidance counselor acknowledging weird or odd behavior, your teacher acknowledging weird or odd behavior that we know, hey, that's weird. You know what I'm saying? And we communicate collectively when we report, hey, to the police department, hey, we have students here, we think this fits a profile. When that department connects to local gun dealers, these are on our hot list. But with all that being said, it's still a strain on everybody's everyday job. And are we willing to do the work? We want parents to get involved. Parents can get involved now. But now we want to get involved when it comes to this. How are we going to do it? No matter what we do, it's going to add a strain to someone, and it's going to have to root back to caring. And I think that's why we're in this pickle in society today. We don't care no more.
Wow.
These hurt people are walking around here crazy. We have made fun of them, like Badger just said it earlier. They tease you when you're young, the kids, the old folks. I saw a clip last night. The baby was 2 years old. She said, y'all adults say y'all supposed to stick together. Y'all don't stick together. Y'all adults say respect each other. Y'all don't respect each other. Y'all tell us play nice, play fair, don't cheat, don't lie. Y'all do all that, but then you tell us kids not to do it.
Wow.
So we live in this world and we see this stuff, and we see these norms, and we're still trapped in this hamster wheel. Tra-la-la-la, we can't get out of it, but we see these things and we don't nip it in the bud. So we have to get back to caring. I know we're all overwhelmed with everything that's going on. The teachers, the doctors, all of the things that go on create more jobs, unfortunately.
Exactly.
And everybody is tired of seeing it all. But still, we have to become more committed, and we gotta nip it in the bud. And normally it starts in the school. When we start noticing these issues, we gotta interject. But it's not, it can come back and bite us like what it's doing.
Good deal.
I really want to touch something.
508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Phone lines open. We got just a few more minutes before we get out of here. So if you want to be a part of this conversation, certainly give us a call. Let me go to Beth, you're saying something?
I was cut off earlier. I just didn't want to interrupt Ibrahim. What I was eventually trying to get to is Jesus Christ, right? And how he lived and how he treated other human beings. I find it quite interesting how a human being of love, and what would be his perspective on our current society, especially when it comes to guns and sex and alcohol and things like that. And with all the people out there that call themselves Christian, are they really living up to Jesus's teachings and the way he would live today? Is my question to everybody.
Well, it'd be very difficult, really, to answer that question without dealing with the other thing that you hate so much, which is judgmental and being judgmental. It will be very difficult to even attempt to answer that question without coming. It would be very difficult to answer that question without walking on or tiptoeing on being judgmental, because we're not here to judge really anybody. And so my thing is,
I meant that for individuals.
That's just me talking, brother. That's just me. That's just me talking. Go ahead, brother. What's on your heart? Hurry up. We gotta get this.
I was meaning that question for each individual person. For them to weigh themselves in the moment that they're given.
Inwardly. Okay, you talking about you speaking inwardly. Okay.
Yes.
I could get that. That.
That's why I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was wanting to make sure I was making my point clear. So I apologize for trying to interrupt you. I was just like, wait, that's not what I meant.
Yeah, we good. We good. No, we good. Say what's on your heart. Kurt, coming to you next.
Yeah. Back to guns in the school, and I think that people have made some very valid points. And Bishop, he's been in law enforcement. CAP trains people. The people that do this kind of work or have done this kind of work know about law enforcement, know about guns. Rosalind, those are the people that we need to pay attention the most to, because they know what it is to hold a gun, point a gun at somebody. I'm sure, you know what I'm saying? I think that when they tell us that being in an active shooting, if you've ever been in one, being in an active shooting, it's great to say, oh yeah, give me a gun, I'll be in there, and I'm going to protect the kids, and I'm going to do. That's great. But when someone is in that school with an automatic gun and shooting people left and right, I'm wondering how many that say that we need the guns in the hands of teachers, how many think that they would actually, you don't know how you would react in that. So that's just me. I know I wouldn't know how I would react if I know they're shooting in the hall, they're shooting up people, I hear the kids screaming or whatever, You can say what you do, and I'll blaze in there, and I'll do what I got to do. Listen, if you've never been in that situation, you have no idea. You can say it all day long. You have no idea how you would react. So I'd be the first to say, I don't know how I would react to that. I might freeze. I might fall on the floor crying. I might be screaming louder than the kids. I don't know. As a teacher, as a former teacher, I don't know how I would react. But I'm not going to say I get up, I'll pull my gun out of my desk or out of my purse and I start shooting. I'm gonna shoot that guy. I don't know.
So Cassandra, that wouldn't be a good look. You talking about you and that screaming louder than the kids now. That won't be.
I'd be screaming louder than them kids. I mean, I'm just being honest. I don't know how I would react.
That's not
and I consider myself a pretty tough cookie. I might be in there hollering, the kids hollering, I'm hollering too. I mean, I'd be blocking the door and stuff, but I'd be hollering just like they are probably.
Lord. Now, I said I was going to come to somebody. I can't remember who I said I was going to come. Normally, I write it down. Who I said I was going to go to next? Okay, let me go to Tucson. I can't remember. I said I was going to come to somebody next. I can't remember who I said, but Tucson.
Since you was coming to me next, right?
Okay, go ahead, Kurt.
You know, a lot of this is based on muscle memory, man. One of the things that make our military one of the best militaries in the world is the level of training creates a certain muscle memory. So some of the things that these guys do to protect our country, they can almost do in their sleep because they train. The reason our military is one of the best militaries on the planet is because you spend probably about 80% of your military career in training. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not all you downrange, you in combat and da. No, you spend 80% of your time in training, probably 10% of your time relaxing, and the other 10% of your time actually in an actual combat situation. But it's muscle memory. You know what I mean? And at this point, what harm is it going to do to establish a new public safety entity that provides jobs to the community, that helps folks feel like they are part of the community for which they live? They're part of the safety, the safety, the concern, the advancement, the community development, that they're working as a part of that community for which they live. Unless there's a push not to create that community. But what's wrong with that? I can't see it, bro. I can't see it. And to ask a teacher to have an additional duty, which is carry a pistol, I'm going to tell you, that's just crazy. That's fool, man.
Wow. 508-92.
That's crazy, bro.
508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Tucson, what's on your heart, brother?
I would hate to hear of the next move when we would have a teacher that has children, maybe husband, good family, love children in the classrooms and the environment or the society we have today, and they give them a gun, train them, and she comes home and says, you know, I had to shoot one of the students today. Because these students, I'm not talking about the ones that want to learn. I'm talking about the ones that, you know what kind of kids we got. We see, not all of them.
Yeah.
So it starts at home. It starts with training. You could put the devices in school, but the results of our actions, that's what we have to be concerned with again, so you'll have another problem. I wouldn't, it would be good. I mean, How long does it take to train one military soldier?
Mm.
And then they train him very well. And he goes on the battlefield and he comes back, and that's not a bad, well, I guess it is a bad word. He comes back disturbed. I wanted to say crazy as a Betsy bug.
A Bessie bug. I don't even know what that is, brother, but yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, you got to be in the deep, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, but comes back disturbed because he didn't see his soldiers shot down, cut head, cut off, and he comes back and he's just crazy as all get out. I mean, that's just
exactly. That's good. That's good. Man, we got a lot going on. Let me go to him. We're gonna go to Paul, then we're gonna go to Cap. Paul, what's on your heart, brother?
Yeah, I agree with Donald there about the military. There's some downsides of that. Veterans have a high rate of PTSD and depression and all these different things. Not obviously not all, but so how are you gonna weed those people out? I'll go back to my original thing is more guns, not good. If we're talking about solutions, then there's political solutions where you have to get laws passed to limit access to guns to people that shouldn't have them. That's one. But like on something that we could all do, I think is just embody what Christ taught. I think that's something that each of us could do. That's what all of us should do. Because what else can't we're individuals. We don't have that much power as an individual, but we do have the power to be kind to people and help people who need help. So all of these mentally ill people, that kid in Texas, the guy, all these Trumpers and all these extremists, I think we have to try to reach out to them and get them on the right path. But I appreciate the conversation. Always a lot of great comments on the show. So have a great day.
Hey, you do the same, brother. Appreciate you. Cat, what's on your heart?
Well, I think that when they talk about military training, these soldiers are taught to kill. They're not taught to wound. I think that's always the concern, and I'm sure the bishop can agree with me. Every time there's a controversial shooting with the law enforcement, with some member of the community, the first thing the community says, well, why didn't you wound them? Why didn't you shoot them in the leg? Why didn't you shoot them in the arm? Well, law enforcement are not taught to specifically target a certain part of the anatomy. They're taught to eliminate that threat by any means necessary. Now, it's up to the individual officer if he chooses to do that. But that's not a requirement. Now, we talk about teachers who have no training to understand. Do you know how to wound somebody? Do you know the absolute anatomy where you're going to really eliminate that threat? The main thing that I want to know is, you're talking about the teachers, and I'm sure they're very concerned. But let me say this to all those who are teachers. You have the awesome care to take care of the safety of those students that's in your care. But I think the parent should have the authority to be able to dictate to any teacher whether they want that teacher to have a gun. I don't think it's up to the teacher. If the teacher feels they need a gun for their own personal safety, that's another story. If the teacher feels they need a gun to protect the student, I think you should ask the parent, how do you feel, Miss So-and-so, if I brought my weapon to school? I don't think, and this is me talking, because we're going to do this on the 18th. We have the open house, and I'm presenting that to the parents of the active shooter training. I'm going to ask them, how do you feel about a teacher having a weapon in the classroom to protect your child? Because if the parents say no, it's a wrap. It ain't no more conversation. If the teacher says, well, I'm scared, I'm going to have one. But then you know what?
that should be a concern when we hire you.
Mm-hmm.
There should be stipulations for teachers who have to put themselves in that environment. Do you want to work like this or work like that? I think that should be put in the contract. If a teacher feels they need the gun for their personal safety, that's a whole different story. I think we're saying the same thing, but I do believe that we should be able to prepare ourselves. This part of the active shooter training says, it's fear, is the paranoia that drives the fear. It says that fear makes you prepared. It is the fear of anything like that happening makes people sit down to get it. Why do people want to get this training? The classroom, the training was fast because every teacher, they want to know, just in case this happened, Mr. Muhammad, what are we to do? And the beautiful thing about when we got to the gun piece, it became political. As soon as we talked about the gun carrying, did you know it started the Democrats, the Republicans? I had to stop it because it became political.
Yeah.
So when you got people you give a gun to, and again, it's called hypervigilance. Bishop Bernard, you cannot dictate to any human being what they're going to do under crisis. You can have some man, let me tell you what Mike Tyson said when he said every boxer has a plan in the ring until he gets hit. We all can sit there and say what we do, but when you got somebody with automatic weapon, bodies is dropping, and you look and it's real. You may get the gun and drop it. You may be so nervous, you drop the gun. So I think it's the conversation, but I think the reality is you have to ask the parent. I'm going to send you my child. Do I want Mr. Kolosky have a gun and he can't even give my son a good grade? I don't think so. I don't think so. So it's all about, and let me ask you another thing. There's no profile on active shooters. I want y'all to know this. To the day, the FBI do not have a profile. Because if there was a profile, they do not have an active shooter training racist. And none of the training today, they talk about active shooters being racist. But 3 to 4 of the shootings that have took place over the last 10 years was racially motivated. And the next question I want to say is racism a mental health disease?
Wow.
Is it a mental health issue? Is racism
all right, preacher.
a mental health issue?
All right, preacher.
Because that is what's going on today.
Preacher.
We now have to put a new dynamic in active shooting that has to deal with racism.
Preacher.
They didn't
Preacher.
have that in it before.
Preacher. Preacher.
So that's in there now.
Preacher.
Is racism a mental health issue?
Captain.
I'm through with it.
Okay, preacher. Boy, give a preacher a mic, Lord Jesus. Give a preacher a mic. Let me go to Rico. Rico, what's on your heart?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna get back to another solution, man. And the reason why the solution I gave is beneficial. I hear what everybody's saying, but
Looks like they froze up. They will be back in a moment as he gets everything reset. One of the things that, I was mentioning earlier, which also it's wild to me and always will be. It's what are the kids learning from us adults? And why have things gotten so skewed? People are struggling at home, people are struggling in communities. There are money issues, health issues, mental health issues, across the board. And what are we as the American people going to do about it? They're literally not. There are things that should be helping us that we have to constantly fight for every day just to get access to. No matter how hard some of us work, it's never enough. And that messes with people's mental. It bogs things down, it interrupts interactions. People get tired, they're emotional, they're stressed out. it's, I mean, in this day and age, who isn't really stressed out? You got parents, you got kids, you got grandparents. Every time you turn around, there's some nasty, drastic thing going on. There's a politician behind some kind of nonsense. There's lies in the seat everywhere on social media. What are we to do?
Good deal. Badger, appreciate you, brother. I see you kept it going. We got it for a second, but we're back. Rico, finish your thought, brother.
Well, I was where we got kicked out of it.
Right toward the beginning.
Oh, at the beginning. Okay. There are pros and cons to everything, man, and you got an echo real bit. That's just terrible.
Oh, okay. It might be let me see. Let me turn this off, turn it back on. Give me 1 second here. This might rectify the situation. All right, try it now. Is that better?
I see. See, in this reality we live in, an active shooter is not going to even be thinking about the God that you're saying that each of us individually need to have in us, especially if they're mentally ill. So we know that atmosphere is this. We know the guns is this, and we know that this is a situation and a condition that's going on with crazy people. So now we say that we want to train the children to be able to defend themselves. I can imagine a preschooler being able to defend themselves against an active shooter with an AR-15. I can't imagine a third grade, maybe high school. So now I still go back to the point of what I said about the people, because we already found out and acknowledged in the first hour that military and police probably wasn't option, former military people. Then we came back and we did it again. But I think about how we can kill two birds with one stone. And with those parents in that school being trained for 8 weeks or whatever, that would kill 10 birds with one stone. I hear teachers say that they wish parents were more involved. Well, what better way to get a parent involved than to employ them with a well-paying job, a desirable job with a title, sanctioned by the government as a first responder program to protect their own children. You can have positive impacts and negative impacts, both unintentional and intentional. Now, I think there are so many more positives that could come from a government division that is securing education facilities and protecting the children that are being educated. I think there's so many pros to that you will create a new trend, you create a new atmosphere, you create careers, you create an opportunity for families to improve themselves financially. You give an opportunity for parents to actually be involved in the school and not have to worry about the stresses of finding a job outside of school. Wow. Because some of our jobs keep us from our children. So now you're killing two birds with one stone.
Good deal.
You got children assisting the teachers. Parents assisting the teachers. You got parents being a presence amongst students, and then you also got parents being available in case you need to talk to them about their students. And then they got a financial incentive.
Good deal. Good deal.
Now you will soon find other parents that will start saying, "Hey, you know what? I wouldn't mind doing security at that school. I would be able to actually be around my child, make an income, and then not have to worry about going to another job that's taking me away from my child. If there's any kind of thing goes on with a school conference or something, I'm there." So there's so many, like I said, you kill so many birds with that one stone. And I think there'll be so many more, and I'm going to say positive, unintentional impacts contributed that comes from students, from teachers being the security in the school, that it will be pretty, I'll say it will probably diminish the numbers of violence in the acts in school, even with being able to have them that a monitor of students and teachers are having inappropriate relationships.
Good deal. Good deal. We got to get out of here. I want to go around real quickly, everybody. We're not going to do the 3-minute thing real quickly. If anybody have anything they want to say on this topic before we get out of here, man, who would like to say something? Anybody? Okay. Bishop. Bishop, I'm calling you out. Bishop, you there? Bishop, wake up and go to sleep. Wake up and go to sleep. All right. Well, everybody, I think everybody's in a good place with this conversation. Rather we solve the problem. I think we dug into it very deeply. I think we know that it is an issue that's going on with these school system. I think that everybody can acknowledge that it is an issue. Rather there's guns in the school, outside of schools, around the school, more resource officers. Something have to happen. Something have to happen to make sure that when our children leave our homes and go into these school buildings, we can feel a little more secure in the fact that they're gonna make it back home and not become victimized by somebody that is outside of their minds. I see it in that way. Someone that's outside of their minds. Rico, what's going on at 3:00 today, sir?
If you missed today's broadcast and would like to see or hear the rebroadcast in its entirety, you can tune in at www.dkmmediagroup.com at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Good deal, good deal. Toya with a T. Anything on your heart, sis? Toya with a T. You there? Everybody might be away from their phone, but I know somebody who is here. I know somebody that's here. Rico, I know somebody that's still here.
Yeah, she in the building.
I know.
Will in the house.
I know somebody that's still here. I ain't got to worry about this here. Watch this. Willa!
Raheem, come on.
Willa, are you ready?
Come on, Raheem, let's go.
You ready? You ready?
Raheem, I am so ready.
Well,
I am so ready to receive the word of God. Come on, Raheem.
You know what, Willa? You know what? Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go, Raheem. Let's go into his throne this morning. Let's go into the throne of grace this morning, asking for some wisdom on this subject, Lord. Father, first we want to just thank you. Thank you, Lord, for allowing us to get up to commune one to another. And Father, we're trying to come up with solutions, Lord, but we know that you already have them because the Bible says that there's nothing new under the sun. So, Father, we're asking you to help us. Help us, Lord, to continually protect our children as they go to school, Lord. I'm asking you to keep the Holy Spirit surrounded around them, giving their parents the peace and the understanding to believe, Lord, that you are there protecting their children. I'm asking you, oh Lord, I'm asking you in the name of Jesus, Lord. Father, you said that we have not because we ask not. Father, I'm asking you to put prayer and allow them to put prayer back in the schools, Lord, because we know that where there is prayer, you are there. Father, I believe it in the name of Jesus. I'm asking you to do this, Lord. I believe that you can do anything but fail. Yes, Father, I believe that it's already done. Yes. I'm trusting you and standing on your words and your promises. I thank you, oh Lord. I thank you for this day, oh Lord. I'm asking you to keep and touch each and every last one that's on this line, Lord. I'm asking you, oh Lord, to answer their prayers in the name of Jesus. Father, I believe that you will do it. Yes. Keep this radio station successful, Lord. I'm asking you to guide us and direct us. Line us up with your will and show us your ways. We thank you, Lord, for this opportunity to praise you, honor you, glorify you. In Jesus' name, amen, amen, and amen. Thank you, Lord.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Amen. This time here, I wish old Rico was on the screen, boy, because I know he's going through something over there right now.
Man, look, I was just sitting here thinking, man, you might have did the hiring, but I'm glad I did the referral. Now all we got to do is get you to pay this woman. She need to get paid for it. I mean, man, it's that passion, you can't beat it.
Exactly. Well, what's your cash out?
No, Raheem, I'm good.
Good?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. What I do for the Lord, I do it for the Lord.
There you go. Okay.
I do it for him each and every day. I thank God, Raheem. I don't want to be like the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Can I put it out there like that?
Come on.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Wow.
I don't even think it's enough money. It ain't enough money you could pay that kind of passion, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Cassandra, what's on your heart, sis, before we get out of here? Cassandra, you there?
Yes, nothing. Thank you so much.
Good deal. Good deal. We're about to get out of here, man. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Now, it's been a great broadcast. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And more than that, I want to thank you for allowing DK and Media Group and the associates and the Morning Glow for being a part of your morning. It is now 10:07. You're about to exit the Morning Glow. But before you go, I want you to do me two favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us because we're certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number two, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody, and give them a hug because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. And then we shine some of this light on you from the Morning Glow. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in and let your light so shine. If you get an opportunity, give somebody some love. You just might find some love in return. Won't that be a beautiful thing? Have a great day. Take care of each other. And please, please, please be blessed. See you tomorrow. If God say the same, have a great evening.